Chapter 1. There is a gigantic mountain in Greece that will one day surpass even the skies. Divine could be the first word that pops into your head when you see it. A very picturesque citadel or metropolis seems to sit atop this mountain. There are legendary gods that call this city home. We continue our journey and come to a castle above this city, where an exquisitely beautiful lady seems to be in despair, as if she were in agony. "Damn you, Zeus! Whoosh," says the lady. "According to Zeus, you must be calm, my love." "You think I don't know that?" The lady responds in kind. "I don't understand why this hurts so much. Mother said it wouldn't take much for the baby to be born." "Hee hee, of course it would hurt. This my son you're talking about, he'll be a great prince of Olympus." "Zeus, you're not helping. AAWWW, get ready, he's coming out." Half an hour later, the aforementioned baby is delivered, but instead of a baby, a guy who seems to be 8 feet tall and built for battle emerges from the birth canal. In his skin-bare state, he resembles the day he was born, actually, which is today. His head is adorned with long, flowing white hair that brushes against his plate-covered torso and shoulders. His question is, "Who are you?" The mother was taken aback when a mature man materialized in the spot where her little son had been. "Queen of Olympus, goddess of marriage, women, and childbirth, my name is Hera, and I am your mother. You are already so powerful and gorgeous, my little child." Her eyes reveal the unconditional love of a mother when she says this. "Well, let me introduce myself. I am Zeus, king of heaven and earth, deity of thunder, lightning, and justice. I happen to be your dad." The sudden change of circumstances has left Zeus perplexed, he claims. "I.C. Is that all you've to say, my love?" she inquires. "Hera." "What is my name, mother?" An anonymous guy repeats the question. "Your name is Heracles, kids only. Naruto is his name." As Zeus finishes calling him by name, he interrupts his wife. With a controlled fury in her eyes, Hera looks up at Zeus. "I.C. Naruto remarks while surveying his local environment, and then, "A prince of this so-called Olympus, I am Naruto, the deity of something, something, and more something. Greetings to the sovereign and queen." Naruto replies in a voice that is unnervingly quiet and flat. Hera says with a grin, "Yes, my son. After we present you to the other gods, we will determine the status of your godhood." "I.C. Enough of these. I.C. Boy, let us meet your family now." "I.C. Enough, come now. Leadership hall, here we go again." Here, the gods meet, one on top of the other, on enormous thrones that form a reverse U. Also housed, there are a number of lesser deities. Here, we find a fresh set of deities, 5 in all. Despite taking on human appearances, each is stunning and powerful in their own right. Within this set, you'll find Goddess Hestia of the home and community hearth, holy and sacrifice fire, childhood, the state, and being virginal. A terrifying deity that rules over the afterlife and is associated with wealth in the dead as Hades. The goddess Demeter is associated with divine law, fertility, agriculture, and harvest. Sea deity Poseidon, ruler of Atlantis and deity of earthquakes and storms. Venus, goddess of love, sexuality, and physical beauty. Why have I been called here? Have we not agreed to only have me here the winter solstice? Calm yourself, Hades. As Zeus, Hera, and Naruto enter the room, Zeus says something. "Who is this and why is, who he is my son?" All the gods, great and little, can hear Zeus roar. The meeting area is shaken by the impact of his comments. As soon as he speaks, the anticipation of his words fills the minds of all the gods. However, just as the audience is about to celebrate, the gods of destiny materialize before him and say, "All hail Naruto, prince of Olympus, war, blood, destruction, patron god of honor, berserk madness, battle strategy, heroes, and weapons." Combat in Naruto. I was wondering how I ended myself in this situation. My life before this religious nonsense is still vivid in my mind. Naruto is still my name. Why am I not in complete panic mode right now? I have very clear memories of my time as a genin, but my childhood is mostly a blur. Could it be that I am a deity? A tremendous surge of power, like an adrenaline rush, washed over me at that same instant, and it seemed like it would last forever. "Ha ha ha, I hereby announce Naruto, Prince of Olympus." Upon hearing such comments, the whole assembly burst into a riot of shouting. An overwhelming chorus of celestial beings sent forth a cacophony of thunderous cries. In the afternoon, embracing my figure was a deep, smoky scarlet toga. Make my way to the hall. I'm going to a fancy party that nobody asked me to. Strange, I say. I used to really want someone to have a celebration in my honor, but nowadays I just don't give a damn. My whole outlook on life has changed after becoming a deity. I didn't panic the first time I was in an unfamiliar area with strangers. I didn't panic the second time they identified themselves, and I didn't panic the third time it was revealed that I was Naruto, the Greek god of battle. At last, I've arrived. My son, where have you been? We've been waiting on you. This is what Zeus says. I was lost. I respond. Ah, no problem, my boy, come meet your aunts and uncles. Aphrodite, last but certainly not least, we barely crossed paths here 2 years ago. Well, hello, I am Aphrodite. Her words are enticing. Hello Aphrodite, I'm Naruto. I say. Oh, I know who you are. Her speech goes on. Okay. I confess that I am at a loss for words. Is that everything? Am I hearing that right, my son? Anyway, Naruto, what are some things you like to do? I was literally born today, so I'd have to say. Living? Excuse me, but I think she's trying to flirt with me with these ridiculous questions. I don't understand why I didn't see it sooner. As an aside, her exceptional attractiveness is obvious to me, yet for some reason, I just can't seem to register her. Despite the fact that I am well aware of her attractiveness, I am completely uninterested in her. Huffufu, I didn't know you were the humorous type. Saying, are you flirting with me? I cut her off mid-sentence. Why yes, I am very forward. Considering how gorgeous you are, I suppose I should have anticipated that. Let me stop you there. You don't interest me, Aphrodite. Right now, I'm turning around and heading towards Hera to get some information. Mother, I have more questions. Whatever you need, my son. She was talking to Demeter when I apparently cut her off. Father has told me of a great war. When did it end? Ha, figures you'd want to know of it. Well, it ended 5 years ago. I don't think it was that long ago. What about the humans Kronos ruled over? I am sorry, Naruto, but you'd have to take that up with your father and Prometheus. Oh, I see. I turn and go straight for Zeus. Father, where are the humans Kronos ruled over? Do you wish to know of humans? Why? Make up a story. I want to impregnate some to have an army of hypothetical half-breeds. I speak with an air of neutrality. At first, Zeus seems surprised before he smiles mischievously. Hey there, my boy, she murmurs. Accompany me. After following Zeus's guidance, I reach a chamber that is across the hall. My son, this is Prometheus. This is Naruto, my son. When we see each other, we nod. He wants to know of humans. As I approach, Prometheus casts me an inquisitive glance. To shield themselves from the conflict, humanity were placed in a state of stasis, my prince. But they would perish instantly due to the fact that they have remained in stasis for an extended period of time compared to humans. My brother and I have been collaborating on a plan to rescue them. It seems that their only hope is to roll back all of their evolutionary steps to a point before Kronos took control. So you'll be reversing time? I inquire. No, my prince. We can just wipe their memory clean to the time before Kronos' dominion. After that, we brief them on this once again. And how long will this take to say get to their current achievements and knowledge? Now Zeus is inquiring. Well, my king, thousands of years of progress, at least 3. Response from Prometheus. Oh my. Holy cow. About a century has passed since my birth, and I must admit, it is tedious. Finally, Prometheus is prepared to free the humans, which is the sole positive aspect. After what seems like an eternity of tedious training, we are finally able to get our show on the road. Hello, my prince, come to see the humans off. I nod in his direction and respond, yes, but I've also come with a directive from my father regarding a select group of people. And what would he have me do? In the map, you can see. On that island, he wants to establish a community of only female residents. May I ask the reasoning for this, my prince? Father wants a special group of, let's say, guiders of humanity. I nod once again. To put it simply, it is all I can think of at the moment. He charged me with preparing these female warriors to lead mankind in some future guise. I see, I shall begin on this task immediately, my prince. As I go, I give one last nod. I am utterly speechless upon reaching the island, yet I can't help but feel awestruck on the inside. After spending the better part of a day touring this island, I am certain it may be the most amazing holiday destination in the cosmos. Only the planet Kashyyyk, where the Woolies live in Star Wars, comes to mind. A deep, uninhabited forest with a white sand beach, a turquoise sea, and a "today's gonna be a good day" wind is visible as far as the right bow. You can count on this place to be the gathering place. Going straight from my mini amazement tour, I make my way to the beach, the site of the Amazon spawning. In reference to being spawned, hello there, young warriors. Amazons, I say to the next generation of nude individuals, I am Naruto, the god of war. My father has tasked me with breaking your bodies and souls into war machines for humanity. I take it that their wonder stems from the fact that I am a deity, but hold on a second. How do these people even define a god? They have only just come into being. How can they possibly learn to communicate? Alright, enough with the human brain attempting to make sense of everything. Let's simply do. So, the training started, and now, 10 years later. Gather around, ladies. A crowd of 150 to 200 gyal is forming around me as I speak these words. After a little pause, I survey my surroundings and see genuine fighters. Naruto Pav, I surveyed my surrounding training for the last 10 years hasn't been simple, but you guys have never once given in. With my guidance, you have explored and studied every inch of this beautiful island. I have imparted knowledge of weapons, honor, martial arts, leadership, combat strategy, geography, economics, and a smattering of medical expertise, no matter what. As I glance around, I realize that every single Amazon is staring at me with one of those big, silly grins. I am proud of you, all of you. After 110 years, I cracked a grin. A sincere grin spreads over my face. It is not because of my teaching abilities, but rather their capacity to learn and amaze me on a constant basis, the extent of which I have not yet shown. Their cheeks flush with a range of blushes. What does my grin represent? Since I am familiar with these women's personalities, I suppose I can tolerate this kind of attraction when they express their want for me. Finally discovered my match. Remember this, a true warrior fights not because they hate what's in front of them, but because they love what's behind them. Naruto, my remarks have left an impression. I can already see they will be treasured for years to come. I am grateful to Gilbert K. Chesterton for the insightful quotations that I have appropriated. I cough slightly ahem, now I will reward you all. If you accept my blessings, you will all become long-lived, at least 500 years if you don't die of natural causes. I have no doubt that a few of you will make it into your thousands. Any offspring, all will be female due to Hera's blessing, will immediately get my blessing. An additional perk is enhanced physical talents, such as strength, speed, agility, endurance, and combat sense. A tiny number of Amazons may be able to foresee actions based on these senses. So, to review, my mother has bestowed her gifts upon you, and these offspring will be female. Additionally, between the ages of 100 and 150, you will naturally get pregnant and give birth to a new generation of ladies. Just a small fraction of you will conceive at any one moment due to the limited amount of time that humans have in the natural world. Overpopulation may be avoided by doing this. After they take in my blessings and nod in agreement, I give them a rundown of what happened. This is it, ladies, goodbye. Wait, if I may ask Lord Naruto, when will we see you again? A clearly captivated Amazon inquires. Well, as you know, this is my hangout spot, so if I'm not on Olympus, then I'll be here. Also, I forgot to tell you, if you die in battle or any other way, as long as I like what you've done during your life, you'll join me upon Olympus in my temple of warriors. The sole reason for this is because of a pact with Hades and Zeus. At least in human terms, a considerable amount of time had elapsed. Among the many abilities that I have extensively examined throughout the years are: as the deity of war, one has the power to influence and direct conflicts of all kinds, including war, contention, and fight. No matter the location or quantity of persons involved, I am able to influence disputes of any kind, whether they be physical, psychological, spiritual, or philosophical. The course of the struggle is under my hands, and I may gain strength from it and from the deaths of my enemies. I have an innate talent for every facet of combat, including weapons, tactics, strategy, and statistics. I possess the power to instigate battles by my influence over individuals or events, gather personal and fanatical armies, master and craft weapons of all kinds, and bestow immense fighting talents onto others. Additionally, I possess the extraordinary ability to unleash anarchy and conflict across an incredibly wide range, from a single city to a whole continent. Magical creation of various weapons from thin air is known as weapon manipulation. With impeccable technique, Naruto can construct, call upon, form, and wield any weapon, ancient, contemporary, or futuristic, utilizing lasers, plasma, antimatter, or even more unusual ammo or assaults. Their proficiency extends to any object that may be used as a weapon or might be fashioned into one. Whenever he reaches the particular time period of those weapons, of course. So, if Naruto were in the 2000s, for instance, he could utilize firearms made of current materials. Weapons from bygone eras are still at his disposal. Limited necromancy. Naruto may revive fallen warriors to fight with him as a result of an agreement with Hades and Zeus. Destruction manipulation. Naruto has the ability to control the timing of destruction, make it go faster or slower, and even choose which portions of an object to demolish. Naruto has the incredible ability to conjure, form, and control deadly energy. With this power, he can wipe away any obstacle in his path, leaving behind nothing but destruction to a certain extent. Hemokinesis. Naruto has the extraordinary power to telekinetically control, generate, shape, and manipulate blood. Blood is a vital bodily fluid that carries oxygen and nutrients to cells while removing metabolic waste. Overall, I'm satisfied with my current level of strength. I am already as strong as the big 3 feet, and I'm not even 1,000 years old. It is unfortunate that I am unable to use many of my skills in the absence of others. Still, is it my intention to launch an arbitrary war on deities? No, not at this very moment. I have been training on non-divine animals for blood because gods don't have it. But, I hope to one day be able to control Ichor, the divine blood, after I have mastered this talent. Brother, I'd like to speak with you about your request. That is the voice I know. Hephaestus, it seems you have my armor and weapons ready. I respond to my younger sibling, who was born just about 150 years ago. Previous story, half a century and 50 years. Ew, begone monstrosity. As she lowers a newborn from Mount Olympus, Hera utters the words. On the training grounds, farther down the gigantic mountain, figures engage in a sparring, no, a stunning dance with their weapons. This is suitable for the gods who are now engaged in combat. Ah, a lady in combat gear cries out in a ferocious war cry. Come then, little sister. Naruto informs her. Like a baseball hitter, she looms over him, sword slung over her shoulder, and searches desperately for an opening to attack. Of course there isn't. The question is, how am I going to beat him? As a result of her loss to her older brother, she takes her frustrations out on herself. She couldn't have physically touched him despite their hours of sparring, so that makes sense. In what ways did she imagine that this day would be different? Naruto has spent the past half-century teaching her, but she has never been a match for him in combat. What? So, what's it? As Enyo watches Naruto seem temporarily preoccupied, she notices that Naruto abruptly breaks her charge, her expression betraying her surprise. Even if she had persisted, it would not have made a difference. She was never going to defeat him, and she certainly didn't want to win a sparring match in such a way. She said, "What's wrong, brother?" After seeing her older brother abruptly halt the spar. Then why have you ceased? Even though she didn't see a thing Enyo was doing, the other minor goddess was just as intrigued by the fact that Naruto seemed to be on the verge of defeating him and ending the spar after charging him. What have you sensed, Lord Naruto? Looking back at the goddess he vanquished earlier in the spar, Enyo considers his options. How did you know he sensed something, Nike? In response, the goddess Nike, who had previously been hidden, said, "You still have a ways to go, young one." How far still? A path away. HMPH, you speak as if you, the goddess of victory, haven't been defeated by my brother. You, ladies, enough. Calm down, Naruto says. Just as another quarrel was about to break out, they both abruptly paused. There's a baby falling towards us. Huh. A baby? Why is there a baby falling towards us? No idea. Cap. He is well aware of the background of this child. He just chose not to disclose it. Should I rescue this baby, Lord Naruto? She inquires. He is unsure of the reason but accepts it nevertheless. Nah. No way. Thus, I will interpret it as an unusual no. As soon as the infant catches sight of them, they watch in awe as it plummets rapidly down the mountainside. Their expressions betray their lack of fear as they ask, "All right, I guess that's the end of the spar. Shall we go now?" Inquiring, Naruto speaks out. Enyo replies, "Yes, brother." In response, Nike answers, "If you want to, my lord." Finally, the flashback the god's sentiments toward Naruto were revealed. Proud with his son's power, Zeus said, Hera, loving care, pleased by his might. Enyo has the utmost regard and affection for her older brother. Nike loves Naruto and considers him a hero, on an undisclosed day. My queen. The whole royal chamber is shaken by a scream of anguish. What is wrong, Cassandra? A question is posed by the monarch's consort. The queen is encircled by ladies wearing just togas, while women clad in combat gear surround the yeller on all sides. Someone was apparently interrupted by her. Mene at the beach, They have killed the scouts and are invading Themyscira. Everyone in the vast room is gasping, and the sound of terrified muttering and murmuring fills the air. Quiet. It is not the right moment, Phoebe. Rally the armies and sound the trumpets. Go to my daughter's chamber, Cassandra, and whisk her away to safety. The ladies under the queen's command immediately obey, saying, "Yes, my queen." They take off running in separate directions. As Phoebe gathers the legions, we shall confront this foe. A resounding, "Yes, my queen," echoes across the room as every single woman in it responds. By the seaside you can see a huge fleet of ships making their way to the picturesque island of the Mysteria. But a battalion of soldiers is already down near the shore. 6 warrior women's corpses sprawled on the beach, their blood seeping into the water as the waves rolled in. Were these the famed warriors? I see no worthy Amazons, only. An authoritative voice cuts him off mid-rant, saying, "Stop, raising your voice will only make us more visible." Wow, such a beautiful island. I can't believe the Amazon stories really came true. Someone, please remove these corpses from the area. We must arrange for another ambush. Those are Darius's commands to his warriors. No, screw the island. Were these dumb wenches the only security? Where are the hordes of women? Suddenly, arrows start pelting various targets. Injuries to leader Darius and deaths to the guy who had been shouting before. When members of the team die in combat, their spirits immediately plummet. "Shield wall," Darius shouted. The whole squadron assumes a simple shield wall formation, as if it had been trained ad nauseum, in order to evade enemy fire. "Loose." The sound of a clearly female voice yells out. More arrows suddenly materialize and are aimed directly at the soldiers. The stratum hardened, the barriers standing as tall as before. Just as Darius was about to give the order to advance, an arrow fired from the side struck him in the shoulder, where he had previously been wounded. In an effort to contain his cries of agony, he raised his shield in defense against the Amazons. Walls and arrows collide. Although no casualties were reported, the queen wasted no time in demanding, "Charge, all of you charge." On the backs of war-breed horses, 50 battle-hardened ladies attack the wall of shields. "Hey, Tristan." "Yes, sir." "Sound the horn, signal the speeding up off the ships and warn him to immediately return." "With pleasure, sir." Someone much younger than the others takes out a war horn and blasts. "Sorry, I don't know the onomatopoeia for a horn." Ships approaching the shore may be heard honking their horns. "Row, row faster, men." Every ship is hearing the orders to arrive on the island faster. On another part of the island, there is a guy who seems like he's in his peak physical condition. He's 6 feet tall and 327 pounds of pure muscle. "It seems I am needed, pathetic, calling themselves warriors can't even defeat a bunch of weak women without me." The guy, belying his stature, dashes off with a pace equal to that of a cheetah. The two sides have battled in the past, with the Amazons emerging victorious due to their superior speed, strength, and war experience. Nonetheless, with just 25 men remaining from the team, they are severely outnumbered. There were just 10 ladies there as the queen hurried to the beachhead, not including herself. She decided to rush in here right away since she didn't want the invaders to have any temporal or environmental advantages, so she could await reinforcements while stopping them from establishing any strategic footholds. "You killed 5 of my sisters, you despicable pigs." The monarch is cut in mid-sentence by the words, "and we'll kill more." A forceful strike to the side of her ribcage causes her to be quickly knocked back. I'll kill you for that, boy." Perched above her, she sees a towering guy who used to be her boss. As she wiped off the shards of rock and dirt that had sucked into her mouth from her collision with the ground, the queen spit out the sand. The man's eyes narrowed as she looked at him. "You were Zeus's son, Heracles, was it, trying to enslave us for your own humanly greed and lust?" "I'm not trying, Calliope," Heracles said before charging at her with another clenched fist poised to inflict even more damage. Fortunately, she dove out of his path. Without missing a beat, he rushed again, but this time Drona skillfully blocked his shot with an arrow of her own. "Calliope, you are an excellent queen. Let go now. We are completely encircling you." "I'm unable to oblige you, boy." "I spat," she said. "You clearly aren't going to come out on top in this. Give in, and death will evade you." "Who said anything about dying?" Meanwhile, Calliope dove headfirst into combat with Heracles, unleashing a barrage of arrows that struck him in the neck, shoulder, and side but did little harm. In response, he unleashed a barrage of blows that shattered her bones and blasted her in an attempt to knock the queen out cold. Despite hearing rumors of the boy's abilities, Calliope was clearly unprepared for the truth, as seen by the expression of horror on her face. Calliope mustered all her might and attempted to maneuver past him, but the craters left by his fist made it impossible. She had no choice except to remain still before him. In her last-ditch effort, she made the reckless decision to do something. The Queen Calliope's point of view, I dashed into his line of sight and leapt over the guy with all the room in the world. Remarkable for a lady clad in armor, a smile graced his face. Even though I despised his bare fangs, I was unable to utilize range against him. In order to make a swordsman-like attack, I would need to get nearer. He had no fear of me and was patiently waiting for me to make an attempt before he could enter his own zone. The only movement between us was his testing as we gazed at one another for what seemed like an eternity. To test the waters, he either put his hands up or lifted his lead foot. I provided him with little responses. Heracles met my gaze directly. I shot him a glance in the chest. I needed to keep my attention on myself. Given my limitations, playing mind games would be very perilous. He cautiously put one foot in again, but this time he was determined. I was being taught not to be afraid of his step. Fight or flight, I resisted the need to retreat and pretended to be still. He desired that response, and I purposefully provided it to him. He lunged in with a gleam in his eye and attempted to smash my skull. I sprang back and swung my blade in a level arc, prepared for it. I struck him square in the ribs with my sword. The feeling of a clean strike from a precise instrument is unparalleled. This sword that Lord Naruto gave me could slash into his flesh all day long. It seems I've underestimated you. Get ready, Queen. Now you die. HMPH, the man immediately begins to brag as if he had already triumphed. I furrow my brow in surprise as I see him retrieve a blade from its concealed sheath. The third person as they both took a high guard, Calliope scowled at Heracles and unleashed an overhand cut. Calliope made a swift and instinctive parry. The queen parried once again as Heracles attacked from the other direction. They shifted back and forth until Calliope remembered her training and realized he wasn't dead yet. A shift from reacting to thinking and doing occurred to her. Overhand slashes were being thrown by the guy. Consider this for her. Calliope swung her hands in the air and parried high, aiming for his face, as she took the next cut. She almost missed the opportunity to thrust because she was so thrilled by her victory, but she managed to do it anyway. Heracles slapped Calliope's sword away as he sprang backwards, taken aback. Without resisting, Calliope transformed the deflection into a malignette and slashed Heracles' skull. He defended by cutting the queen. As she dove to one side, she slashed at his hands in an asymmetrical fashion. As the remainder of his hand was encircling his sword grip, Heracles gazed in disbelief at his pinky finger that lay on the ground. Heracles wasted no time getting to work. He unleashed his latent power by throwing the queen into midair and charging forward while she was still in the air. As soon as she landed, he positioned his sword to crush Calliope's neck. You were so focused on staying alive that you failed to see that one of your Amazons rallied the whole army, Queen. Take a look about you. Your army has been defeated. Your fighters have either been slain or captured by my men. I will mill them all in front of you if you do not give up. While staring at Heracles, she spoke the necessary phrases. I yield. Calliope, I just heard of our loss. Amazons, in my experience, are true to their name, while other brands fall short. While 192 were apprehended, 180 perished out of a possible 600 fully trained and blooded Amazons on this island. And here I thought Amazons didn't run. That arithmetic just doesn't work up. As a result, I will address you as Queen, and ask, where are your warriors and the belt? Perched on her throne, the Queen surveys the battlefield. Deadpan, it's clear she won't respond to him. Out of the 10,000 soldiers we came today, I lost 5,500. It's been a terrible day. I wasted 5,500 men killing 180 girls because I was too busy trifling with you to destroy your little army of females on the battlefield. Sigh asterisk, is there any hope of rescuing the 192 girls who were captured? Peefed, poof. Powdered magic. It vanished. So, are you up to the task of rescuing the 228 females who have gone missing without a trace? All of your ancestors will be wiped out and you will be forgotten in history if I so want. My fun attitude has faded. Do you get what I'm saying? Heracles, do you know of our origins? Yes, made by my father to lead. No, we were cared for by Lord Naruto, even if our DNA is Prometheus. When he departed, he told us something, although I was a little kid when we were formed. And that a real soldier fights not because they hate what's in front of them, but what they love behind them. Calliope stops him once more. Wise words, however irrelevant. This is not unimportant. It is a rule of conduct, you hound. Just look at you. Heracles will not be able to escape your scrutiny. Avoid the truth at all costs. Avoiding it will have no effect. Be someone you're not, a teacher, a husband, a father, and act it out. One thing is certain. No matter what, you will always be a monstrosity. Heracles are the target of Calliope's poisonous comments. Their impact was devastating. He murdered his whole family in a fit of anger, and she knew it. That is why he is now doing his last act of labor, to make up for his transgressions. Even if Hera did send those serpents, why would she instruct him to use mind control magic to murder his own family? Hera, the goddess of marriage and birth, would never do anything so unbelievable. Because his anger is so overwhelming, Heracles has trouble forming coherent statements. What's the matter? Dog can't bark anymore. Viewpoint of Heracles the following. Chiron, Linus, and Amphitryon instructed me to breathe in and out. Therefore, I need to do that. She knows I have no self-control. Now is the time for me to exact some revenge. Narcissus, begin the hunt for the rest of the Amazons. A perplexed expression spreads over the faces of the young men. I can see his confusion. I urged him to start the hunt, because he isn't a leader, just a foot soldier. The only reason he even came to mind was because I am aware of his fondness for playing with young females. In this little runaway group, there'll be a little girl, maybe even a young teen. His eyes reveal a hint of delight. He is well aware of my intentions. I need not even complete the statement for him to comply. While I gaze at Calliope, I am well aware that it is pure fear, ha ha ha. Queen? I thought I remembered her name. Hi, Cassandra. What about Penelope? Nah, that's not it at all. I know she is aware that I know, so I intentionally go off topic. Hippolyta maybe? View from Calliope's perspective the following. He knows my daughter. How? How does he know everything about us? That's the one thing I haven't been asking the whole time. The world of men does not know who we are. Since no Amazon would ever betray us, someone must be assisting him. My guess is Olympus. Since the gods are forbade from meddling in human affairs, it is meaningless. Perhaps our god can step in if a deity is assisting him. Naruto, wipe out my foes, and my life is yours, Calliope cries out. He, a cry of desperation. Am I going to join in? Those connected with Olympus know the gods cannot intervene, at least not in an evident way, so I couldn't help but chuckle at her anguish as she desperately prayed to a deity. It amazes me that they could hear us from so far out. I could see that all of my soldiers were laughing, too. From up above, a low-pitched cracking noise emerged. As I saw a black horse whose hoof was split open by the magma of the ground. Then, from the sky came the rider, and with him came death. From what I could discern, he emerged victorious, ready to crush his enemies with the sword, starvation, and disease. Being in his presence allowed me to see the boiling water and the simultaneous disintegration of the earth under his feet. My behavior is so arrogant and blasphemous that I almost want to laugh at myself. Truly, I stand before a celestial entity. He said himself, and here I thought you would prevail over your foe Calliope. She seems even more embarrassed by what she said. She even droops her head in a subservient way as I watch her. Lord Naruto, I have let you down. I have let you down. Voice of Naruto, the Amazons have failed me for the first time. Okay, I'll admit it, I'm a little upset. After 10 years of training, they still lose. I need to fix this since it makes me seem bad in training. Countless lifeless corpses litter the shoreline as I survey my immediate environment. Sigh well, at least they managed to kill a large number of soldiers despite being much outnumbered. Okay, I'll handle it on my own, plus the second one. A gigantic blood ball engulfed the sky as a result of my will, formed from the combined blood of the thousands of invaders and Amazons who had shed blood throughout the conflict. The look of utter hopelessness on the faces of the remaining attackers was something I saw. I can't believe some people even laughed at my accomplishment. Some people must be completely insane. Sadly, my achievement is far from done. Another wave of my will caused the enormous ball to smash into a pool of blood as it plummeted to the floor. Out of the water came hands, and from the blood sprang heads, and finally whole bodies. Thank you, Alucard, for ripping it straight from Hellsing. The blood of today's combat becomes the blood of the fallen. Zombies, essentially, made from the flesh and blood of the fallen of today, and they will all obey my every command. It is time to make a bold statement. I am inevitable. Final citation. The zombie legion rushed towards their victim, like a damned stream of corpses charging at the intruders before engaging in a fierce battle. Corpses were scattered on the floor underneath the intruders, and their swords were covered in blood. The air was filled with the sounds of their anguish. Individual 3. No, The condition of his troops causes Heracles to mumble frantically. How did it come to this? I was supposed to succeed. I am Zeus' son. Don't you know Whoiam? A dead man walking. A larger pool of blood emerges, and Naruto declares victory as his dead army stands triumphantly over the slaughtered army. Okay, let's make this a little flashy. As a blood dragon from the east swoops down on the Heracles, Naruto mutters under his breath. You will not be able to harm me. I am untouchable, Heracles proclaimed. Once a sane man, Heracles lets forth a piercing scream. This isn't about who is going to let me, it's who is going to stop me. In response, Naruto feels the blood dragon encircle him and transforms into a massive blood ball once again. Immersed in the gore, he can't help but feel the surge of blood coursing through his veins. As his lungs swell with the blood, he feels a sudden pop as his veins and lungs burst from the immense pressure of the blood rushing into his body. The agony he endures as he succumbs to the horrifying combination of being submerged in a torrent of blood and feeling his respiratory and circulatory systems gradually enlarge until they burst like balloons is beyond description. The viewpoint of Amazon. We Amazons were previously known as the Undefeatables. What a farce. All I can think of is the embarrassment we've caused not just to ourselves, but also to Lord Naruto. Considering how Lord Naruto must be feeling at this very moment was enough to overwhelm me. I began to weep. More and more Amazons are starting to weep around me. I don't know whether they're crying out of relief, excitement, grief, or embarrassment, but I do know that I wept. No, we cried out for the first time in history, because of all that I've gone through. Inside Naruto's head, what do I see as I glance down on the emancipated Amazons? Are they weeping? The idea that Amazons might weep is so foreign to me. I take it their content. Their original fates were even worse than this. As a result of their loss and subsequent servitude, the Amazons were subjected to sexual assault in the original. The result was that the Amazons hated males and would later kidnap and rape them in order to increase their female population. Will they now despise men? Calliope, do you know why you've lost today? Please forgive me, my lord, but we were outnumbered? Overall, no, although that was a factor. You were defeated because the Amazon people have never before faced such a crushing setback. Don't get me wrong, you've lost some Amazons, but you've always come out on top. It would still be there in your brain even if I taught you not to be overconfident. Upon hearing such news, Calliope seems to be very distressed. Even if you are not entirely to fault, I must own that I have let you down. Your foolishness should have been obvious to me. No, Lord Naruto, this all my fault. How could I push my fault on you, Lord Naruto? You don't have to tell me, girl, that it's all your fault. So be it. Gather the departed Amazons and I will meet you in your royal chamber after they have finished weeping. After a while, the following: as I sit on Calliope's throne, every last one of the Amazons is on their knees before me. Wow, she doesn't bat an eye. In fact, she seems to like it, as I sit here on her throne, ordering her minions about. They seem to be on par with Nazarik's degree of devotion as an NPC. Calliope, you have pledged your life to be faithful to me. Join my war dogs, you and 20 devoted Amazons, when Hippolyta is old enough to be queen. My vice commander, you will be. Yes, Lord Naruto, she knelt before me and said. The consequences for this humiliating loss will not be easing till then. This embarrassment should motivate you, Amazons, to improve in every way. Whether you despise me after this or not is irrelevant to me. Yes, Lord Naruto. With their voices echoing around the room, they all speak up. Get ready, ladies, because tomorrow I'll train you so hard you might just kill yourself to end the pain. As they reply once again, a look of terror crosses their face. Skipping ahead in time. The perspective of, my king, it is an honor to die by your side. My warrior tells me that he crawls to me even though he has 2 arrows in him. And it is an honor to have lived at yours. I respond. In that instant, the soldier smiles his last goodbye and passes away. More of my troops are dead or dying as I turn around. Arrows were put into each of them. I rise slowly, arrows still embedded in my flesh. But they will not deter Sparta. I am making my death claim right now. I swear on the river Styx, my Spartans will come for you and your army, Xerxes. I start to hear what sound like armored feet trailing after me after I swear. As I turn around, I notice a stunning lady all out in her combat armor. Who are you, woman? My mind keeps wandering to the question. Why is she here? It matters not what my name is, boy, only that you have been chosen. Chosen for what? Lord Naruto has selected you, a man, to be one of his vast warrior legion. It is my sincere hope that you will embrace this magnificent distinction. You mean the god of war himself has chosen me? I am not stupid girl, why would a god choose me? Do you think I would even begin to question him? I have no right to question Lord Naruto, now will you join or not? My folks freeze in place while I survey my surroundings and then gaze up into the sky, wondering why I haven't been doused with arrows yet. I do, really. Hey, how about we leave then, Leonidas? Voice of Naruto, oh my, here we are again at the winter solstice. When December rolls around, we experience the winter solstice. It is around the winter solstice when the gods of Olympus gather. On December 21st or 22, you may normally find the darkest day of the year. On the winter solstice, the power of old, malevolent magic is greatest. Additionally, Hades may only visit Olympus at this period. I have seen firsthand how gods may become quite dim-witted during the years. Most gods don't interest me, but there are a few. A couple of them just elevate me to an unparalleled degree, and here they are. Apogee, constantly griping about how I refuse to budge or even acknowledge her. She fails to comprehend that I am completely unconcerned with her. Additionally, I am aware that she is the one who divulged the information of the Amazons to Heracles. I will confront her when she is least expecting it. Traditional Artemis is a man-hater. No matter what, it's always about me being male and her being feminine. She once attempted to discipline me, after I debuted before her nude. She didn't even bother to attempt it again. Yeah, because when she assaulted me, I pounded her till she was on the ground. In a very simple summary, Hermes was enticed by Aphrodite to give me a love potion. I also managed to knock him down cold. Despite being tempted, he refrained from repeating that behavior. The antics he performs are amusing, so I mentally excused him. He has reverted to his previous state of indifference. When Apollo attempts to woo me, that's when I feel his presence. The truth is that many deities, both male and female, have attempted to woo me. I am not interested in any of the goddesses at the moment, and I most definitely am not interested in males, just don't make me roll that way, and I don't see how they can be with someone who doesn't want to be with them. They're all lovely animals, don't get me wrong, but I can't decide whether it's due to my asexuality, a lack of interest in or desire for sexual behavior, or my previous life's predilection for women. Oh my! The much-anticipated council meeting is upon us. Sanctuary of the gods, on top of my own throne, I may teleport directly to the throne chamber. Order of seating: Hera, Zeus Poseidon, Hades Mario brothers. Hermes, Demeter Hephaestus, Artemis Diana, Queen of Heaven. Apollo stands directly in front of me, winking and gazing at the gods Poseidon and Hermes on his right and left, respectively. Let the council start. As usual, Zeus cries out. As a group, we transform into our divine selves. In all honesty, our heavenly guises are nothing more than our domains affecting the look of a deity by heavenly ways. Apollo, for instance, may transform into a 25-foot-tall giant with glowing skin, flaming hair, and other flaming body parts. Zeus metamorphoses into a thundercloud like a 35-foot-tall man. Hera just grows taller at a height of 25 feet. Alternating between a man and a sea serpent, Poseidon grows to a length of 35 feet. Hades metamorphoses into a 35-foot-tall figure shrouded in shadow and adorned with black feathered wings. To become a lady resembling a wood nymph, Demeter transforms into a 25-foot-long creature. I am unable to locate any suitable images. At 25 feet, Athena's stature just expands. Gaining deer antlers, Artemis becomes 25 feet tall. At 25 feet, Aphrodite reaches her full stature. Hermes just gets taller when he reaches 25 feet. A giant with fiery hair and copper complexion, Hephaestus grows to reach 25 feet tall. Dionysus only becomes taller at a height of 25 feet. I can't remember whether I've ever shown a picture of him. Actually, he's not that amazing. Before anything else, there is Me. My true identity is revealed as Corn. So far, I've covered 30 feet. It is time to start. Naruto, I want an explanation for your conduct with my kid. As all the lesser gods teleport into the throne room, Zeus says this, describing them as 15-foot divinity-influenced copies of themselves. Including that dweeb Heracles, I am aware of that. Oh my! Zeus just made his son a deity when he died because he loves him so much. Do my actions really need to be explained? I write back. I mean, I honestly believed that what I did was quite simple. A moment before Zeus speaks, Hera interrupts him and says, please, my son, just explain them. Well, I killed Heracles' men in front of him and then proceeded to drown him in their blood. I say, with a casual tone. I glance down and see Heracles recounting his encounter with me in a comical manner. The reverberation of the celestial chamber causes Hermes and Apollo to burst into laughter at the first sound. And why would you do that, brother? Athena looks at me curiously as she asks. Why to think, sister? I say, she knows, I know she knows, in fact, I know she knows all the time. The Olympians all agree that Athena is the most brilliant. My top 3 choices, if forced to choose, would be 1. Athena the Faesterness, who am I, Naruto. 3. It is my firm belief that she is capable of overcoming her retardation. Indeed, I am aware of the reason, my brother, but I killed him because he planned to enslave and rape my Amazons and he insulted me. I cut Athena off mid-sentence since I couldn't care less about her intended words. Everyone in the royal chamber gasps, and Heracles gets a piercing stare from every woman there, even the Olympians. HMPH, of course, he is the son of Zeus. A few of the female lesser gods' mutterings reach my ears. Surely Zeus also heard it. Enough. A voice from Zeus is heard. Oh my, he's already started ranting. I can't say that I blame them. After all, Zeus has already raped many of these ladies. Even though you broke the rules, you still saved these poor women from such a horrible fate. Zeus says, attempting to put some space between himself and his deeds. Nobody believes his tiny justice stick, of course. Let us move on to more important matters now. An ordinary man named Alexander has started an invasion of Egypt. The local deities have been becoming more agitated and are now looking to us for solutions. This is what Zeus says. This is rather interesting, I must say. I will certainly send some of my war dogs to claim territory and slaughter enemies. The Egyptians? Don't they have a skyfather? What if this escalates into a full-scale war? What if we come up short? Telling them to be quiet, I say in a soothing voice. Zeus, there's no need to shout. What are we supposed to be doing with this information, father? Athena inquires. Olympus will initiate negotiations with the Egyptians at this time. Naruto and Athena. Our eyes are fixed on him. A battle plan and the reinforcement of Mount Olympus's defenses will be your joint projects. You two are fired. Start right away. We teleport to the battle chamber at the same time as we both transform back into our normal bodies. Alright. I finally got some alone time after months of preparation and fortifying Mount Olympus. Naruto was happy as there was going to be a divine war. He wondered what limit he could surpass during a divine war. After 6 months, not at all. Viewpoint on Amazon, at random. I lay on the ground, my leg crossed over my naked foot, after a long day of fighting with Lord Naruto. I had cut a blister off the bottom of my foot with a knife and piled the dead skin on top of my robe. I proceeded to add each successive blister, white patch of dry crusted skin, and blister to the mound of dead skin by sawing them off. There was this lovely pile I was working on. Even the hardest among us were pushed to our limits by the lengthy marches and exercises in temperatures above 100 degrees. Many of the females were afraid to return the following day. However, we failed Lord Naruto as Amazons. Naruto worldview. I have spent the last 6 months instructing the Amazons on the techniques used by contemporary special forces such as Frogman Corps, Delta Force, Navy SEALs, GSG-9, Gigan, and SAS. Why am I familiar with these troops and their training methods? I am the deity of battle, my darling. Concerning the Egyptians, Zeus and, I'm assuming, Ra have decided that a fight between gods would be pointless because none of us can die. Quite intriguingly, Zeus and Ra have consented to a small gathering of the divine pantheon, meeting on friendly terms to discuss our problems in a cordial manner befitting of gods. 2 pantheons will cross paths for the first time in Earth's history. I was about to pass out from laughing when Hermes broke the news to me. That was the first time anybody ever saw me laugh, and I was laughing uncontrollably. My shouts of delight were heard by the whole gods of Olympus. Even more hilarious was the fact that they failed to see the humor in the situation. What, like, Greek gods being cordial and all that? Seriously, dude. The conference is going to be a disaster because either some naive new master will wreck it or I will. I may be able to make a few Egyptian gods furious and murderous, but I won't dare try to do it to Ra, who is a sky father and, by extension, perhaps stronger than Zeus. Maybe I could pull off the one-on-one duel thing for a time. The white guy from the Troy movie comes to mind. At least this time, I get to see Egyptian god warriors and the plot revolves on pantheons resolving their differences. How are you doing? My point of view, not Aphrodite. Finally, Naruto, my sweetheart has consented to meet with me alone. Naruto, I see that you've finally grown to love me. My darling, I have searched far and low for you, but this is how it always turns out. I don't know why, but you're always trying to get away from me and never really staying. You are my favorite. No matter how many times you forgot my name, my love for you has never wavered. Surely, you will remember me, don't you? Forever will we remain a couple. Have you began? Out of nowhere, a voice cuts me off. It's outrageous that they're messing with my head. In preparation to destroy the moron who dared to disturb my beautiful thoughts, I turn around and... My future husband, that's him, voice of Naruto. Damn, dealing with her is a real pain. Magic, the moon, and entrances are all associated with Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft. Her haughtiness and arrogance were the only things holding her back from unleashing her full potential, as they are for most deities, I suppose. OOI, it's you, Lord Naruto. Why, yes, I have already finished. Hecate clings on for dear life as she escapes. Naturally, her obsession with me is the reason for her flushed face upon recognizing me and Hinata's stuttering. I give my approval. Then let's get this over with, shall we? Why, yes, we shall. A vial is being offered to me by her. Her face becomes even redder when our palms meet, and all I can do is sigh. I hope this will take care of Aphrodite. I thank you, Hecate. Due to the fact that I appreciate this. The thought of doing this to a yandere fills me with dread. I owe you a favor, a medium-sized favor, okay? Why, yes, oh, of course, Lord Naruto. I quickly teleport to Athena's quarter on Olympus after giving the signal. Third-person perspective, Hecate gets down on her knees as Naruto walks away. A magnificent, insatiable hunger washes across her face. Asking for a favor, huh? Don't fret if Naruto becomes used to doing anything shady, like her pressuring him to have children with her. He's no wimp and won't be taken advantage of. Equally opportunistic is Naruto. Basically, he won't discriminate at all, which means everyone has equal rights and equal lefts. Mount Olympus returned. Upon entering Athena's Olympus mansion, Naruto makes an appearance. Where is my sister? An attendant to the estate is asked by him. Oh my god, you caught me off guard, Lord Naruto. I can take a message for you. Where did he go? Since Lady Athena is in the bath right now. From Athena's point of view, Athena. A voice suddenly shook me to my very core. My older brother is staring back at me when I open my eyes. What are you doing here, Naruto? My inquiry had an angry undertone. Teach how to make babies. After a few months, the ancient Egyptians worshipped their gods for a longer period of time than our own civilization existed. They govern abstract ideas, social phenomena, and the natural and social sciences. More than 1,500 of these deities are recognized by name, and they are present in almost every facet of Egyptian culture. A comprehensive list of them is difficult to assemble, the author writes, because many of the Egyptian texts I could get my hands on mention deities' names without indicating their character or role, and other texts refer to specific deities without even stating their name. Athena starts to babble. Egypt was one of the first major civilizations of humanity. Therefore, it stands to reason that many of the gods and goddesses are older and maybe even more powerful than us. Even their sky father is older and more powerful than you or Zeus. I'm unable to avoid taunting Zeus. Although he is aware of his own frailty, he is too proud to admit it. Ancient Egypt occurred around 5,000 years ago, but ancient Greece occurred between 2,300 and 2,800 years ago. Be quiet, boy. I cut Zeus off in the middle of his thought. I wonder what the Egyptians are like. This will be my first time meeting another pantheon, thereby infuriating him. Zeus. Please? We are about to meet the Egyptians. And you, Naruto, stop making your father so angry. We must present ourselves as a collective unit. Hera tells us to stop? Please inform me. Does she really believe I'm scared of her? Regardless, I'm irking Zeus since we're still waiting for the Egyptians to arrive. Seemingly seeing Israel as a neutral ground due to its geographical proximity to both nations, they decided to convene there. Patience is required. Not only is Greece present, but so is Egypt. Judaism had already spread to the eastern portion of Canaan, which is today known as Israel, by this point. My mind went into a panic as I realized we had entered the realm of Yahweh. I apologize if my tale insulted anybody who is religious. My younger sister Enyo nudges me to focus on the heavenly host that is rapidly approaching us and says, "Look, brother, they've arrived." As I turn back, I see that the majority of the Greek hooligans here today are paralyzed with fear. I suppose it's because they're reminded of Typhon, the monster from a time before my. This makes me panic out inwardly. The Egyptian demon of chaos, Apophis, also known as Apepi, or Rirek, is said to battle the sun god Ra every night to bring upon eternal darkness. They are fierce enemies battling for the fate of humanity and the gods. Why is he here now? Athena, despite her terror, manages to inform the ignorant about the god before them. I barely know a few of Egyptian gods and goddesses, so I'm going to have to guess that Ra hops off the enormous snake's back and then Osiris. I can make out further deities on the serpent's back, but why have just Ra and Osiris come to greet us? Ra is at the head of the procession, and Osiris is following closely behind. Lord Zeus, how are you on this fine day? I am fine, Lord Ra, I shall ask the same to you. I don't know much about Ra. For all I know, he may be exactly like Zeus. He, I'm beginning to enjoy him. Today is a beautiful day for the conference, thank the sun. HMPH, shall we start already? Reacting to Zeus's response, I catch Osiris, who is hiding behind Ra, grinning slightly. Absolutely, we can. Afterwards, I'll address the gods and goddesses riding on Apophis. You are free to descend at this moment and greet our cousins across the Mediterranean. So that's Anubis, whoa. The first to obey his instruction happens to be the most gorgeous god I've ever seen, and he's perhaps the most well-known Egyptian deity to those living in the present day. Looking from Athena's perspective, in a crucial meeting with a peer, what kind of leader doesn't know how to keep his emotions in control? No, let's call it king of an entire godly pantheon. The king should think about the 3 R's: rhetoric, the art of persuasion; friendship, the science of persuasion; and eloquence, the science of persuasive speech. Argument is all around you, whether you're aware of it or not. It manipulates your emotions, changes your attitude, convinces you to make a decision, and even approaches you to make a purchase. Politics, advertising, jargon, voices, gestures, and guilt trips are all forms of argument. They come together to form a real-life matrix, the ultimate software that controls our social lives. Rhetoric is the art of decoding arguments. It teaches us the tricks we use to convince each other, exposing the manipulative nature of the art of persuasion. To sum up, point of view on Naruto, in my former life, scientists believed that rhetoric was the fundamental leadership skill of the ancients, a subject so important that it was instituted at the core of higher education. Rhetoric taught them to be persuasive in speech and writing, to have something to say for every occasion, and to make people like them when they spoke. After the Greeks invented it, it played a role in the emergence of the first democracies, the training of Roman orators like Caesar and Cicero, the finest language found in the Bible, and even Shakespeare. All of the founders of the United States of America studied rhetoric, and its principles were incorporated into the Constitution. To sum up, perspective of Naruto and Athena. Zeus is not suited to be king, and he never will be. This is Naruto's point of view. I don't know the exact term, but it's when 2 nations' leaders get together to talk about current events. The argument has only been going on for around 5 minutes, and Zeus has already embarrassed us. When it comes to ruling, Zeus is too foolish, impulsive, haughty, and stupid. Something needs to shift. For an instant, our gazes lock as I steal a stealthy glance in Athena's direction. I have no doubt that she shares my sentiments. It is time for a fresh leadership transition. Once I depose Zeus, I am certain that I will have the backing of the majority of the gods and goddesses. Unfortunately, Zeus and Ra didn't recognize this king's failure and promptly built a barrier to keep certain gods from listening and others from mixing with each other. I, Athena, Hera, Poseidon, and Hades are all granted permission to listen in by Zeus, while Thoth, Osiris, Anubis, Horus, Isis, and Seth are all granted permission to listen by Ra. Viewpoint 3, you see, my friend, the Pantheon is quite worried about the prospect of war between us. The problem is that your mortal servant has set us on this course, and you still don't know how to stop us, Thoth adds with an air of condescension and a hint of mischief. The mortal has nothing to do with us. You must understand, Lord Ra, pleaded Zeus. Is that your solution to this issue, Lord Zeus? Isis responds. Wire talk, Osiris, Zeus, are you sure you are the king? Why would anyone choose this child as a leader? Zeus, why you dare insult me boy? The king. How are we to solve this if you are yelling, Lord Zeus? The prophet, please calm down. You wouldn't want to escalate this, would you? Why does this woman speak for you? Zeus asks the ladies, his anger evident. Lord Ra further irritates Zeus. I think it's time for you to apologize to my wife, Osiris says with anger. What would you do? I'll dismember you again, you greenfuck. Horus realizes that Seth, who had been silent before, is now laughing, and he becomes furious. You still have the gall to laugh? I am going to murder you, I swear. Unfortunately for Athena, Seth sees as she starts to smirk after hearing Horus. Wow, a goddess of battle who is a woman. I had no idea Greece would be so terrible. Even as Athena is about to react, Naruto blurts out, and yet Egypt was taken without a struggle. The disputing gods stop at Naruto's remarks, stunned by the harsh reality. Unfazed, Naruto presses on. After destroying the Assyrian and Egyptian army at Carchemish, Nebuchadnezzar's Babylonian, Scythian, Mede, and Persian armies quickly seized and looted all of you. The Romans held Egypt for 6 centuries, converting it into a Christian nation. The Persians for 3 centuries, transforming it into a Muslim nation. The Crusaders, led by Anglo-French King Richard, briefly held it, marking the beginning of several invasions by the French and the British. And finally, the Persians for 3 centuries, followed by the Macedonians of Alexander and their successors until the Cleopatra period. Is it clear to everyone how I know this? The gods present at the gathering have no idea what any of the information means. As Naruto spits out at Seth, he says, "You see, I am a true god of war unlike you, you stupid fuck. I will cut your head off and shit down your throat. Lord Zeus, may I have permission to thrash this dirt demon straight to the gulag?" Naruto stops Seth before he finishes, asking, "May I have permission to crush this monster?" Quick on his feet, Zeus says, "Lord Ra, if my son wins, Greece will occupy Egypt, the mortal Alexander of Macedonia will become the next pharaoh." Then Naruto adds, "And I will be able to travel to An from Egypt and also be able to establish a mercenary group there in the future." This concludes his list of requests. Without being fazed by anything that has transpired, Ra states, "And if Seth wins, Egypt will occupy and unite Greece while destroying the cities of Rhodes, Athens, Delphi and Sparta." Zeus is interrupted before Naruto can respond. "Alright," looks Seth in the eyes and whispers, "I'm going to fuck you up, you stupid dweeb." Alternative viewpoint: the 2 men and the remaining gods emerged from the force barrier and entered the desert not long after Naruto's exhibition. As they cast their eyes about, Seth and Naruto saw every deity there, even those who had been forbidden entry. Even the Greeks are putting money on Naruto. Although the Egyptians staked their wagers on Seth, the onlookers saw him as quicker and wiser than Naruto, who they perceived as being taller and more robust. Seth starts to conjure his enormous executioner's axe as the battle is ready to commence. Flaunting his proficiency with the weapon, he swung it around his arms. On the other side, Naruto calls forth his enormous great sword, Chaos Eater. The Cyclops and Hephaestus forged it, and Hades and Hecate charmed it. If you want to see blood spurt and bones crack, this is the weapon for you. It was a bow from Naruto. "Naruto," he blurted out, "Greek god of war." The bow was returned to Seth. "Seth," he murmured, "Egyptian god of war." Then the whole assembly of celestial beings let forth a resounding yell. A haven of genius and a haven for heretics all rolled into one. Almost everyone liked duels. Seth had training. He started to be as agile as he had been for generations, and because he had nothing to lose, he launched an all-out assault with his first move. He moved forward with an air of fake hesitation before kicking forcefully at his opponent's knee. While he dug himself out of the sandbox, even though he smelled worse after his fall, he was unharmed and sprang back at his opponent, who looked like he was forged from heavenly steel. He had missed the move that had thrown him a body length across the desert night. "That's one fall," Naruto said. The massive guy smirked and said, "Good kick. Very good, really. In fact, I think we're going to have real fun. I thought I'd have to do both sides of this fight, but apparently." Seth seemed stringy and skinny to Naruto, with his unusually long limbs and legs being his only physical advantage. He kicked beneath the big's cross-body blow, grasped his arm as it went forward defensively, and feinted another one while the behemoth rattled on. Up until he was soaring into the sky again, it was an almost flawless arm lock. This time, he skidded into the desert heap when his buttocks struck a sand mound. Even though he was in excruciating agony, the crowd's laughter shone like a lamp, illuminating his path. Running toward the large guy, he jumped off the beach. Just as he is about to reach his objective, he pauses and starts to wield the axe he had summoned. Why the fuck didn't he utilize it sooner? Naruto pondered. As Naruto searches for a hole in Seth's defenses, he carefully circles around him. To maintain his position with Naruto by his side, the Egyptian shifted and moved. He exuded an air of effortless self-assurance, secure of the supremacy of his weaponry. He might have attacked first since his reach was greater. While Naruto draws near to wield his sword, the knight seizes the opportunity to brandish the enormous axe. Seth has longer and leaner arms compared to Naruto, and while the big sword is lengthy, it pales in comparison to the axe. Haughtiness is a virtue, Naruto pondered. His progress will be hindered. After Seth had gone around the man's motionless position twice, he lowered himself into a low stance, axe at the ready, and waited. How much time? With a swift motion, the Greek deity pounced on Seth's neck with his clawed hand. His body dragged behind him as Seth swiftly prepared the axe head and wind it behind him, delivering a magnificent blow. With its blade raised in the air, Naruto was ready to swoop down and break bones with a single rip. An inexperienced warrior may have thought the sword would launch the attack first, but Seth had always known that his hand would be the one to land the opening blow. Seth had seen indications of the Greek god's purpose even though his onslaught had been lightning fast. He took a stride forward and out to the side as his left-clawed hand snapped at him. To avoid being hit at all, he smashed the axe's pommel and his other forearm into the Greek god's arm. At this point, he was within knife point. In a flash, Naruto drew back his arm, turning his elbow into a weapon. With his forward momentum, he slammed his elbow into Seth's lower back. The unprotected guy let out a piercing woof as he felt half his breath leave his body. His sole defense against being left gasping for air was an innate tightening of his abdominal muscles. A sword seemed to be drawing near. Standing still and searching for it would make his lifted face an easy target for Naruto. Additionally, he was unable to swiftly retreat in time to evade the blow. He ought to have remained near. Seth might have gone either ahead of Naruto's body or to the side of him. Taking the lead put him in range of the man's weapon while also opening the door for his own to be used. By stepping behind the guy, the deity would turn his back on him. Seth ducked to his left as the blade slammed down. Without hesitation, Seth swung his newly conjured blades into action. The sword could only have missed the move because it was one that Seth was familiar with. The impossible-looking swirling arm-over-arm attack. It was sheer instinct that told Naruto to back off. He had no idea it would be a shock to Seth, much less that he would try it with unrelated weapons like the sword. Given the current state of affairs, the sword's blade barely cleared his face by half a finger's breadth. Instead of hanging around to see whether the Greek deity could keep the whirlwind going, Seth just did it. Despite the perilous angle and the fact that his blades were not designed for stabbing, he proceeded to poke the one in his right hand up into the Greek god's left armpit nonetheless. He unleashed his full assault on Seth, but Naruto anticipated his move and swiftly diverted the knife into his armpit after shooting his palm at it. With a muted cry of agony escaping Seth's lips, he crumpled around his weapon. The knife was ripped from Naruto's hand as Seth pulled backward. Instead of attempting to recover it, Naruto reached over and plucked a handful of fabric and mail off the man's armor. The Egyptian seemed unsteady. At this point, it would be simple to toss him. It would be far simpler to cut the god once he was on the ground, since his better weapons would be rendered useless. His back was engulfed in flames. With a deft twist of his blade, Naruto sliced into Seth's back. The sword had missed his spine, but it had torn his leather since his legs and arms were still functional. Seth pounded his right knee into Naruto's crotch while snarling like a wounded beast and begging, "Please, this isn't a bar fight. Have some class." Naruto's reaction was icy indifference. As the Greek god struggled to hold onto Seth's back with the sword, Seth's muscles wailed in pain. Eventually, Seth twisted away and freed himself from his opponent's grip. I wish he could have convinced Naruto to down his sword. As they broke away, the audience went wild with joy since everyone was without a weapon. He reached out to touch the scar on his back while Seth attempted to locate his knife in the mud. The more he contorted himself, the sharper the agony became, shooting up his spine and into his brain. 8 points: larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys and finally heart, according to Naruto. Legs strained to keep the swaying Egyptian deity from toppling down. He saw a shadow at the nape of his neck as he adjusted the bottom edge of his garment with one hand. He had accidentally hacked the Greek deity with his other blade. Although it was not deadly, he had bled. Seth lunged with his knife in both hands as the audience erupted in their own battle cry, yelling and chanting. A daring assault. After their initial interaction, the guy still hadn't learnt to be careful. In a wild smile, he barked out a command, and Seth's hand retrieved the hatchet's shaft. A better weapon was at his disposal now. Seth quickly dove to his left, swung the hatchet up, and slammed its handle into the sword's shaft as the blade swung down. He had already begun to spin his wrist, allowing the sword's momentum to pass him, before the jolt of the impact had even reached his shoulder. The Greek god's guard had him back into their midst. Naruto swiftly extended his right hand, clenching his fist with metal armor, and slashed Seth's neck. Although he had endured worse, the impact caused his throat to constrict. He felt his hold on the hatchet relax as he gagged. Once again, he struck him, and he just almost tucked his chin in. There were 2 instances of Naruto's hand scraping against his jaw. Steadily, Seth retreated. By repeatedly hitting Seth with short punches, Naruto maintained his lead. Although the blows were forceful, he retreated because he was caught off guard by the barrage of fists. End alternative viewpoint. He saw a gap. The tightly wounded male covered his whole body, except for his hands, which were exposed. There was a little area of exposed flesh at the palm side of the hand. With a swift motion, Seth thrust upwards with the knife held in his left hand, countering Naruto's attack. With an astonishing amount of force, he drove the tip into the man's palm, causing Naruto's fist to flex at an unusual angle. As he pushed and twisted the blade, he could feel the knife's edge rubbing against bone. Naruto saw the whites of the Egyptian's eyes peek through the fabric of the helmet, but he didn't scream. Seth wrestled with his opponent while releasing both his knife and the hatchet, which he had almost forgotten about, but Naruto anticipated it and turned it around. In order to trap Seth's elbow against his side, he wrapped his left arm over Seth's right. As he spat and moaned, the Egyptian pressed his weight on Naruto, hoping to topple the armored deity and reclaim the grapple. The one with the lower hips wins, so Naruto lowered them and turned his body around, sweeping his right leg back. Seth was unsteady on his feet and failed to intercept the toss. He soared to his feet, and Naruto, who was still clinging to his arm, tumbled down with him. He bent his elbow too far, causing them to collapse to the earth with a bone-snapping crunch. With the clamor of the audience echoing through his mind, Naruto rolled off his adversary. With his right hand attempting to investigate the cut on his palm, he ducked his head and cautiously studied his fallen opponent. Even though his hand was covered with ichor, it was still able to move. The ability to fight remained with him. Unlike his rival, Seth was having trouble rolling over, but his mind hadn't really registered the impotence of his right arm. There was a terrible kink in the elbow and an enchanted sword had slashed the back. The male's sleeve had been stained with blood by this point. If he weren't divine, he'd be crippled for life. Something from Naruto's childhood resurfaced, a strange recollection of a period before his godhood. He found a butterfly struggling to break out of its cocoon one spring morning. He had seen it slip its sleeve and then fall to the floor. The bird's wings were never fully extended, and after the fall, they became a rigid, wrinkled mass that couldn't lift it into the air. He recalled hunching over it, gazing carefully at the lifeless infant whose existence had ended only a minute after its birth. Seth rolled onto his back and, using his dominant hand, clawed at his helmet. He was unable to see clearly what was wrong with his arm, and he was wailing and sobbing within his clothing from frustration and humiliation at his loss. In spite of his awareness that something was amiss, the agony was not severe enough to dissuade him from his martial determination. Similar to the butterfly, Seth lay on the ground, battling to fly but perplexed as to why it couldn't. After bringing the second knife belonging to Seth out of the sand, Naruto knelt down at the god's side. He thrust his sword close to the opening in the god's helmet that served as an eye. After Seth's limbs froze, he thrashed for a second. There is no greater dishonor for a deity of battle than to have been defeated in a just one-on-one combat and then showered with kindness by his adversary, even if he was unable to die. While crushing the butterfly with his thumb, Naruto thought, HMPH, he looks just like the butterfly. The Greeks erupted in jubilant cries of joy, exclaiming, he wonnnnnnnnn, Zeus, Hera, and Enyo, among other gods, grinned as casually as if his triumph were predetermined. When Seth lost, the Egyptians didn't understand. Even Horus, who was severely wounded after the fight, was the only one who managed to defeat him. Scene end. In response to the demands of the combat, Ra made it easy for Alexander and the Greeks to conquer Egypt. After the combat, Isis healed Seth. What the fuck? Point of view. I can't believe he beat him. Not even Horus could have done that to Seth. Seth emerged from the ordeal with a lacerated back, fractured ribs, a heavenly concussion, and a pierced hand, whereas the god emerged with just a few minor scratches and a pierced hand. As the unidentified individual is thinking, maybe he's the one, a voice cuts in. Are you going to go speak with him or are you going to stare at him like a longing maiden? Hather. Relief sigh. How do you feel about the Greek god of war? Inquires the mysterious lady. Hather stresses her points, asking, no, Neith, how do you feel? Neith says to Hather, I guess I'll like him, do you Hather? As she blushes. Sigh, yes I cannot help it, he is very interesting. Hellboy I am Neith, may I suggest a name for him in human terms? The other Greek gods greeted me with raucous cheers after my battle with Seth, with many of them yelling obscenities. Did they really believe I was going to lose? If so, then why are they so upset? Do you not trust me? No, I'm joking. A little. No matter what, my sister approaches me. As always you win. Again. Was that a statement of disappointment? I ask her, my gaze betraying my bewilderment. What no. It seems I need to design a harder training regimen for you. Wait, what? I didn't do anything, she says, her expression betraying her confusion. Interrupting us, Zeus asks, are you bullying your sister, my boy? His tone betrays his pride. After hearing my response, of course, why wouldn't I? Zeus is taken aback by the candor and directness of my response. He knows very little about me, even if he is my father. While a weaker guy would have taken notice, I just find it amusing. Well, Enyo, was it? How have you been? The reason Enyo is looking at him with a look of disbelief is because this might be the first time Zeus has stalked her for years. He acts so casually, as if nothing is wrong. Zeus has been on his Sigma male grind set, I swear. Firmly founded. Zeus continues to act as if he is really interested in her life, and Enyo continues to struggle with responding appropriately to questions posed by a parent she has never met. Zeus abruptly leaves the scene after attempting to be kind to his daughter. His exhaustion is evident, and Hera watches with sharp eyes. No big surprise there. I guess I neglected to mention that Hera is not Enyo's mother. After Zeus departs and Enyo goes off to think about life, I go over to the Egyptians. Interrupting his talk with Thoth, I say, Lord Ra, I would ask to travel back to Egypt with you on top of Lord Apophis. They both laugh. Both deities give me curious glances. Are we excited? Ra asks. With all due respect, I would also be eager to visit another pantheon's home, Lord Ra. As he turns to Thoth, seeking the wisdom of the wisest man, but for what reason? Ra asks, yes, without a doubt. What do you think? I thought we had already wagered on the outcome. Is he going to retract his wager? May I see your sundial, Lord Ra? What use have I for a sundial, Thoth? I extend mine to Thoth, who seems little embarrassed. Here, you can use mine. You use a sundial? Nodding in response to his inquiry, I do what he says. I mean, why not? As soon as Thoth sets eyes on the dial, he disregards it. I believe you should come. I can tell you that your family's antics have been weighing your will down. Ra gives me the silent treatment, shaking his head and smiling mischievously. My brow furrows as I ask, how would you know? You just met me. I'm eager to hear his response. I get the impression that you come from a pretty rowdy family. Your parents probably argue or fight quite a bit, because you blink around every 12.2 seconds, which is a sign that you're not comfortable with long periods of quiet. On the other hand, your shoulders don't seem as stiff as they would be in a god of war. Curiously, you, the battle god, seem more at ease among humans than among your own family. The slight tan on your skin, a result of your increased time spent outside, possibly in training, explains why you are somewhat darker than your other Greek gods. While we were talking, I saw that your knees are hyperextended rather than crumpled, which is odd given that you sat down for much of the meeting. The little discoloration in your eye, which might indicate a number of problems, was reduced to just one throughout our discussion. Finally, you despise Zeus more than any of your fellow Greek gods. The slight discoloration in your eyes tells me that you were disappointed with what you were hearing, but that was only when Zeus spoke, not when we did. In fact, you were fascinated by us, and I'm willing to bet that we earned some respect from you. You find him disappointing, maybe even a complete and utter failure as a monarch, you say. As Thoth continues to speak, my admiration for him increases, and Ra smirks at him. Wow, that was amazing, not even Athena could do that. Plus, I can now state that I have the utmost respect for Thoth, which has never happened before in my life. I mean, he's true. I'm looking forward to meeting new gods and getting away from the Greeks. I also want to travel the globe in quest of pantheons. After the Egyptians, I'd put the Aztecs and the Norse. Ra agrees with Thoth and lets me accompany him on our journey back to Egypt. Thoth only nods in agreement. Regardless of his decision, I would have gone ahead and set up the parameters of the duel anyhow. Ra's refusal to go wouldn't have prevented him from going, but it would have meant he wouldn't accompany them. Naruto is requesting to go on a tour because he would be completely lost if he went alone. The question was well posed, considering we are now departing. As I signal to the Greeks that I am leaving, Ra and Thoth lead the way to the other Egyptians, and I start to follow them. Upon receiving Ra's assurance that Apophis will not attempt to devour me, I leap onto him, only to be met with the disapproving looks of the Egyptians. Ra then boards the ship and proclaims me a divine guest under the Egyptians. Subsequently, a number of Egyptians introduce themselves to me. The most notable of these are Sobek, Nephthys, Sekhmet, Hathor, and Neith. Other Egyptians approached me, but I chose not to remember their names. Ultimately, the only ones I knew by heart were Ra, Osiris, Anubis, Horus, Thoth, Sobek, Nephthys, Neith, Bast, Hathor, Jeb, and Khonsu. Our encounters with these deities will be unveiled gradually in the course of the narrative. A 3-month lag the view in the Hellespont, we have come to begin our grand campaign. A large, dominant tent dominates the fortified war camp as armored troops march in formation over the landscape. Roughly 40,000 men from various corners of Greece make up our army. Parmenion will lead the infantry. In case you didn't know, he's a seasoned Macedonian commander who fought with my father. As the speaker says this, all eyes are on the guy he mentioned, a serious-looking, grizzled man with black hair and brown eyes, a constant frown engraved on his face, and plenty of wrinkles. The 18-foot sarissa that my father created will be armed by 9,000 Macedonian phalangites in the front rank, the speaker adds. Forming a phalanx 16 ranks deep, they are skilled professionals. Different heads of state, all advisors and generals of the huge army in question, nod in agreement. This formation will present a strong and formidable wall of iron spear tips. Nevertheless, it is important to recognize the challenges of maneuvering and the significant vulnerability to attacks on its flanks and rear. We will have 3,000 highly skilled infantry known as the hypaspist, our shield bearers, to manage these. They will be equipped with shorter spears and will be responsible for protecting the flanks. Heads once again acknowledge the battle formation plans. The hypaspist will be led by Nicanor, who is known for his exceptional leadership skills and strategic brilliance. He is the son of Parmenion, a respected figure in the military. Next to the Macedonian phalangites will be our highly skilled Agranus, who are renowned for their expertise in javelin throwing. They hail from the southern region of Bulgaria. Skirmishers from Thrace and Illyria will be equipped with javelins, slings, and bows. In total, there are 1,000 Agranus, 1,000 archers, and 6,000 Thracians and Illyrians. The companion cavalry will serve as the shock troops of our army. A formidable force of 1,000 highly skilled horsemen equipped with spears and swords. Philotas, another son of Parmenion and brother of Nicanor, will lead them with his exceptional command skills. There are 1,900 cavalry from Thessaly commanded by Callas, 600 Greek cavalry from other parts led by Arigeus, and 900 mounted scouts from Thrace and Paeonia under Cassander's leadership. The second line will consist of 7,000 of Greece's allies and 5,000 mercenaries. They will be equipped like Greek hoplites. They will each carry a hoplon, a large round shield, and shorter 8-foot spears. Although not reaching the same level of effectiveness as the Macedonian phalangites, they possess formidable weaponry and substantial armor. General Parmenion, please provide us with an update on Persia now that the battle formation is complete. The man with a rugged appearance replies, yes, Hegemon Alexander. A seasoned individual steps into Alexander's former position at the helm of the war map, showcasing their expertise on the enemy's homeland and government. The Persian Empire is divided into provinces known as satrapies, each governed by a governor or satrap. Currently, our camp is located in a region called Asia Minor. According to our sources within the enemy camp, it has come to our attention that there is a highly capable Greek general named Memnon of Rhodes who is currently serving in the Persian army. Amidst the heated exchange of opinions in the strategic meeting, Alexander raises his hand to restore order. Now, Parmenion, please continue, he calmly instructs the general as the room falls silent. Certainly, without a doubt, the individual in question has advised them to refrain from engaging in combat with us and instead adopt a scorched earth approach, setting fire to villages and crops, and retreating to the inner regions of the nation. A voice belonging to an experienced individual in the corner of the tent responds, a solid plan if I do say so myself, too bad they won't use it. The heads of the tent are all directed towards the corner. Weapons are swiftly drawn from their scabbards and sheaths, accompanied by urgent calls for guards, uninvited guest, and protect Alexander. A solemn silence spreads throughout the camp. Every soldier who catches wind of this rushes towards the massive tent, where one by one they enter and are met with an unexpected scene. Alexander stands firm, restraining the eager generals and advisors from launching an assault on a mysterious figure lurking in the corner of the tent. Please pause, please pause. Hello, everyone. Alexander raises his voice to assert authority and restore order among the crowd. Gradually, they suppress their initial impulse to react aggressively towards the threat to their ruler's life and reluctantly become more composed, although they remain cautious of the unfamiliar individual. This individual, my esteemed colleagues, is the individual who has been providing us with valuable insights on the Persians and has also been instrumental in assisting us with our battle strategies. Alexander expresses frustration towards his companions, while appreciating their dedication to his safety. Alexander glances at his enigmatic assistant and notices a complete absence of surprise, anxiety, or apprehension on his countenance. This is intriguing, considering the recent encounter with a group of battle-hardened, fully equipped soldiers who were prepared to fight to the death. Yet, the assistant remains completely unfazed. Quite remarkable, isn't it? He's interrupted from his thoughts as his generals and advisors inquire about the man. May I know the name of this individual who has been so helpful? How did he gain access? Where did he come from? Is he our spy? All do you one better, why is? Questions arise from various individuals in the tent, including the soldiers who were fortunate enough to arrive on time. Please hold. This gentleman is about to introduce himself. There is an immediate hush as everyone eagerly awaits information about the enigmatic individual. Allow me to introduce myself, he begins. I am Altair ibn Lahad, or simply Altair. Well, Altair, you must possess impressive expertise to infiltrate heavily fortified camps with such ease, the general inquires. My team and I are, indeed. Alexander appears taken aback, unaware of the presence of others. And may I inquire about your companions, Altair? Alexander inquires, now intrigued. The highly skilled war band known as the War Dogs or Bloodhounds. Confusion and shock are evident among the people in the tent, including Alexander. The War Dogs are a group of skilled fighters who travel from place to place, offering their services as mercenaries. They are known for their loyalty to the god of war Naruto. From what I know, they used to be exclusively Greek. However, it seems that they have expanded since then, Alexander asks Altair. It has been rumored that King Leonidas joined the War Dogs, which could explain his absence among the bodies at the hot gates. I've heard that even the legendary Amazons are part of the War Dogs. As soldiers enter the tent, they whisper to each other in awe of the renowned group of warriors. Imagine, a group of extraordinary heroes journeying through Greece, and now one of them is here, lending us a hand. It's truly remarkable. I concur, even if they are genuine, what could be the reason behind their sudden willingness to assist? Why was King Philip of Macedonia not provided assistance? That's it. That's irrelevant. If you are here right now, does that imply that the War Dogs will assist us? Parmenion interviews Altair. We will gladly assist those who need our help. Then, as someone with expertise in this area, could you please provide us with information about Persia? Alexander inquires once again. Altair affirms, proceeding to navigate through the bustling crowd towards the war map. If the Persians had heeded Memnon's advice, it would have resulted in a rapid depletion of your army's resources. Nevertheless, the satraps are hesitant to destroy their own provinces without putting up a fight. As a result, they will choose to engage in battle with you at the river Granicus. They will gather behind the river, which has shallow waters and sturdy steel banks, spanning a width of 60 feet. Their front line consists of a formidable force of 10,000 horsemen drawn from various regions of the empire. Supporting them are infantry units, including several thousand Greek mercenaries, a common practice in Persian armies. However, the Persians have reservations about relying on these individuals in battle against their Greek counterparts, and thus positioned them at the back. Inside the strategy, war tent, the crowd of high-ranking individuals, experts, and military personnel were taken aback by the wealth of information they received from an unidentified source. Alexander considers discussing with Altair about a potential strategy to counter the Persians. I would recommend assigning the Thessalian, Greek, and Thracian cavalry to the left wing, with Parmenion in command. That's 3,400 plus the infantry is a significant number of soldiers. However, I have full confidence in Parmenion's command, Alexander assures the more apprehensive generals and commanders. Indeed, quite impressive. Moving on, the focal point would be the tightly arranged spears of the phalanx, organized into 6 divisions based on merit. Altair gestures with a hint of unease. Perdiccas, Koinos, Amnidas, Philip, Meleager, Craterus. Now I suggest Alexander leading the companion cavalry on the right. Under Philotas. Indeed, now that leaves the rest. I recommend including the highly skilled Hypaspist, the proficient Agranus javelin throwers, and the skilled archers on the right side, along with Alexander and Philotas. This combination will give you a diverse range of units. Now Alexander, you'll have a slight numerical disadvantage with 13,000 infantry and 5,000 cavalry. However, 1 week later, a soldier's perspective. I was exhausted, completely sleep-deprived. Drenched and shivering, I suddenly felt an incredible surge of confidence. It's truly remarkable how a sense of calm can take over during battle. The anxiety dissipates, leaving behind a crystal-clear focus. the enemy stands no chance, appearing sluggish in comparison. Swiftly, I deflected the scar-faced man's spear thrust with a well-timed shield movement. Seizing the opportunity, I thrust my own spear forward, impaling the Persian soldier. The impact reverberated up my arm as I twisted the spear, tearing through flesh, muscle, and organs. His warm blood coated my cold hand, while his agonized screams filled the air. With a forceful strike from the shield's weighty center, I knocked him to the ground, delivering a final blow by driving my spear into his throat. Another opponent approached from my right, relentlessly attacking my comrade's shield with a sword, perhaps having lost his own spear. Nevertheless, dispatching him was effortless, swiftly piercing his throat with my spear. And so, we pressed forward. I passionately and persistently fought for the words that would forever be etched in my mind. A warrior's motivation lies not in their hatred for what stands before them, but in their love for what awaits behind. After witnessing the deaths of those around me, a profound realization begins to take hold within me. However, before I can address this, "You Greek dog." A man emerges from the chaos, spear held in both hands, charging right for me. His charge filled with anger. Perhaps I caused the loss of someone dear to him. A close companion, sibling, parent, partner? I feel a sudden chill as his gaze meets mine. Is he some kind of mythical creature? I instinctively close my eyes, seeking solace. I wake up to a pleasant sight. Altair's point of view. Guiding Alexander had been effortless, making a plan had been straightforward, even eliminating scores of men had been a breeze. Navigating the battlefield with ease, as if it were a serene forest, renders one vulnerable to attacks. However, I am an exception. A Persian soldier attempted to strike me from behind with his spear, seeking an effortless victory. Unfortunately for him, he was unsuccessful. Third-person point of view. Altair effortlessly evades the attempted attack, gracefully tilting his head to the right. One after another, multiple assailants try to strike him down, but he remains unfazed. Before long, 5 men have encircled the Egyptian, thrusting their spears forward. "It's time to bring this to a close," he calmly declares. In a display of skill and precision, Altair effortlessly evades an unexpected spear thrust from behind. With a swift movement, he seizes the weapon and swiftly renders it useless by breaking its point. A spear point swiftly returns through the air, piercing the face of its previous owner and continuing through to the man behind him, resulting in their unfortunate demise. The 4 remaining Persians are taken aback by the accomplishment. They pause to reflect on the decisions that have brought them to this moment. Nevertheless, the Egyptian wastes no time and swiftly attacks the nearest enemy. Altair delivers a powerful straight kick directly to the man's knee. A scream of pain erupts from his throat as he falls to his one good knee. Altair shows no concern as he rotates his shoulders and arms back, preparing to deliver a forceful clap. However, instead of applause, he claps his hands near the handicapped man's ears, stopping just before his palms make contact. The impact of his immense strength and abrupt halt of his forceful grip sends a shockwave through the injured man's head, causing severe damage to his brain. Blood streams from his ears, nose, mouth, and even beneath his eyes. His lifeless body lies on the ground, motionless. The 3 departed with a sense of determination, unafraid and fully aware of the situation. There was no need to plead with this man, as he clearly had no intention of releasing them. Oh no! A powerful declaration resonates from their instruments. The person at the front receives a surprise attack with pocket sand from an ancient Egyptian pouch. The individual from Persia is momentarily distracted as they rub their eye, while the rest of the group carries on. The Egyptian swiftly maneuvers under their spears, skillfully tripping the soldiers. With lightning speed, one of them rises quicker than the other, only to be met with a precise strike to the throat. HRRRK, the soldier starts choking abruptly. With him temporarily incapacitated, the remaining soldier who is not physically injured stands up and the soldier expertly wields his sword, with precision and skill, targeting the Egyptian. Altair's concealed blades swiftly spring forth from the device on his wrist, expertly intercepting the incoming sword strike. With precision, Altair delivers a swift kick to the man's leg, effectively incapacitating him as he falls to his knees. The hidden blades swiftly find their mark, piercing his throat. Blood oozes from the punctured skin and trickles down the wrist device. The blades once again conceal themselves. Behind, Altair swiftly evades a spear attack from his rear. He gazes upon the assailant, whose eyes burn with frustration. The attacker receives a powerful kick to the sternum, causing him to be forcefully pushed back and lose his breath. As he struggles to catch his breath, the other injured man approaches him, clutching his throat. The man, with a sense of urgency, attempts to lift his injured comrade. The man's neck is twisted 180 degrees, causing him to face his attacker. His lifeless body collapses to the ground. Altair skillfully defeats the final opponent. I simply have a desire to do it, without any personal reasons. Do you understand? Altair swiftly prevents the man from retaliating by delivering 3 precise body shots to the soldier, targeting vulnerable and critical areas. Kidney, lower ribcage, clavicle. Every shot chips away at the man's sturdy armor. It's highly probable that you're experiencing internal bleeding. You will live longer than your friends, but eventually, you will also pass away. After releasing his grip, Altair watches as the man collapses to the ground, writhing in agony. You know what, forget it. Altair forcefully steps on the back of the last soldier's neck and continues his path through the battlefield. Altair's perspective: during my journey through the battlefield, I frequently encountered hostile individuals attempting to harm me. Among them were Greek soldiers and their allies, but they all met their demise. I had to defend myself with swift actions, such as targeting the throat with a knife, decapitating a few enemies, delivering precise strikes to the back, piercing stomachs with swords, and even resorting to more brutal methods like stomping on heads and necks or tearing out hearts. While observing the chaos, I come across a Persian soldier attacking a Greek warrior and make the decision to intervene and assist the Greek. I skillfully hurl a knife I discovered, effortlessly severing the upper portion of the spear. Excuse me? I swiftly approach him, and as he begins to speak, my blade swiftly strikes his right temple and pierces through his mouth. This results in immediate and painless demise. The Greek's eyes widen as he transitions from a state of fear to one of bewilderment. Thank you. A spear shoots out from their mouth, their body jerks forward from the force and blood sprays outward, narrowly missing me. A spear is being pulled back, dragging the body along. The person holding the spear notices me and attempts to free it from the deceased person's head. I skillfully hurl the damaged spear towards the Persian, striking his face with lethal precision, resulting in instant demise. A Persian's perspective: the horses loomed over them, majestic and imposing, their lances extended, the thunderous sound of hooves and clattering armor engulfing everything. The Greeks cheered triumphantly as they charged forward. The lances collided with the shields, causing a Persian soldier to be forcefully thrown back and collide with a horse's hoof. Despite the impact, a comrade behind him quickly pushed him back into position, pressing him firmly against the enemy horse. With limited space to maneuver, he found it difficult to wield his sword, and his shield was crushed against his side. The pungent smell of horse sweat and blood filled his nostrils. Suddenly, something struck his helmet, causing his head to ring and his vision to darken momentarily. But then, almost miraculously, the pressure subsided, and he caught a glimpse of daylight. With unsteady steps, he lunged forward, swinging his sword in the direction he believed the enemy to be. The other side of the battlefield, a Greek perspective. In the midst of the chaotic clash, Cletus expertly maneuvered his shield, deflecting the forceful blows of his adversaries. The sounds of battle filled the air, the clash of weapons, the cries of combatants, and the grinding of metal against wood. Cletus observed the determined faces of his foes as they pressed forward, their feet firmly planted on the ground. Above him, the whistling sound of spears being hurled into the ranks echoed. Sensing an opportunity, Cletus seized the moment when the enemy line weakened, swiftly advancing with his shield. Although the impact caused a brief surge of pain in his left arm, he quickly recovered and struck with precision, his short sword piercing flesh and bone, felling an opponent at his feet. He swiftly moved past the fallen body and engaged the next individual who attempted to take its place. With a precise strike, his blade found its mark in the man's throat, resulting in a spray of blood. The man desperately clutched at the wound as Cletus withdrew his sword, causing another surge of blood. As the man's face grew pale and his eyes widened, he collapsed to his knees, struggling to breathe amidst the gurgling of his own blood. Third-person point of view: just a few hours ago, Alexander's attack appeared impulsive. Disregarding his advisor's suggestion to wait until dawn to cross the river, he made the decision to launch an immediate assault. He deployed a squadron of companion to ford the river, followed by a regiment of Hypaspist and the Paeonian light cavalry. Encouraging his men to display their bravery, Alexander himself led the right wing across the river. However, as they reached the middle of the river, the Greeks were met with a barrage of javelins, darts, and arrows from the Persian line. In the midst of the intense battle, Alexander found himself confronted by the Persian cavalry. With agility and skill, he deftly evaded their attacks and swiftly retaliated, bringing an end to many of his adversaries. However, a critical moment arose when Alexander faced the imminent danger of two Persian nobles charging towards him. Rosaces, one of the nobles, swung his sword at Alexander, striking his helmet and causing a piece to break off. Fortunately, the helmet absorbed much of the impact, allowing Alexander to swiftly counter by piercing Rosace's heart with his spear. Nevertheless, Spithridates attempted to attack the king from behind. However, Philotas was quick to react and managed to strike his arm, severing it along with the sword. During the intense battle, a fierce struggle unfolded as Alexander and his troops clashed with the Persian cavalry and leaders. The scene was chaotic, with horses and men tightly packed together, each side fiercely fighting for their objectives. The Macedonians were determined to push the Persians away from the river bank, while the Persians were equally resolved to prevent them from crossing and force them back into the river. The entire strategy devised by Altair and Alexander was aimed at providing Alexander with the necessary time for his army to successfully cross the river, which included the formidable Macedonian phalangites. After the Greek army successfully crossed the river, the Persian cavalry found themselves confronted by a formidable line of Macedonian spears. Despite the Persians' initial advantage, the tide turned dramatically when the entire Macedonian army joined the battle, resulting in the massacre of thousands of Persians and causing many to flee in fear. The swift and decisive nature of Alexander's assault caught the Greek mercenaries of Persia off guard, preventing them from participating in the battle. By targeting the command center, Alexander effectively disrupted the enemy's ability to coordinate their forces or request additional support. "The victory is ours, soldiers," Alexander exclaims to his troops. Altair approaches Alexander and places his hand on his shoulder. Alexander turns around and immediately recognizes the individual who assisted him in achieving victory. He raises his hand towards the crowd and shouts, "Altair." The men who survived because of him are shouting his name on the bloody battlefield. Generals, advisors, and soldiers alike are all acknowledging his contributions. He provided them with valuable information about the enemy's plans, likely moves, and effective strategies. Alexander and Altair emerged victorious, establishing themselves as an unstoppable duo that continued to conquer numerous challenges. In the universe this is set in DC with a few elements from Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series mixed in. Third-person point of view. Alexander, in a state of intense fury, are perhaps viewing the Greek mercenaries as betrayers, disregarded their pleas for clemency. The mercenaries found themselves encircled and ruthlessly slaughtered. Alexander had achieved a significant triumph. Asia Minor was now under his control, but the Persian Empire remained a formidable force with its immense wealth and power. Moreover, it was already preparing to confront him by mobilizing its vast resources. After several weeks, as Alexander neared Sardis, the commander of the Persian province of Lydia's capital surrendered without resistance. Nevertheless, it is important to consider the Persians' significant naval capabilities. With their strategic naval bases scattered across the eastern Mediterranean, they had the potential to disrupt communications between Greece and other regions. Instead of engaging the Persians at sea, Alexander made the decision, with the guidance of a seasoned advisor, to dispatch a select group of skilled warriors. This group consisted of Jabari, an Egyptian warrior of the renowned War Dogs, achieved notoriety during the Battle of Granicus for his incredible feats of strength. He was said to have effortlessly torn the heads off multiple Persian soldiers, leaving the Greeks in awe of his immense power. Those who managed to escape his fury described him as a towering figure with the strength to effortlessly hurl lions. Ammon, a highly skilled Egyptian warrior from the renowned War Dogs unit, earned a reputation for his formidable presence and ruthless effectiveness on the battlefield. He valiantly rescued numerous Greeks from the brink of death. Ahmed, brother of Ammon, and another member of the War Dogs, became well known for his ruthless nature, eliminating numerous soldiers, expressing his devotion to a foreign war deity named Naruto, and proudly declaring his victory over his foes. Mayat, a skilled warrior of the Egyptians, hailing from Western Africa, became renowned for her lethal prowess in combat, swiftly dispatching men with her remarkable nimbleness and agility. She expertly maneuvered between adversaries, employing poisoned weapons to devastating effect. She was also a member of the esteemed War Dogs group. A small group of individuals launched a surprise attack on the Greek coastal cities of Miletus and Halicarnassus. In a shocking act, Ahmed and Ammon rounded up a large number of surrendered soldiers in the mausoleum of Halicarnassus and, under the command of Altair, set fire to the structure, resulting in the tragic loss of life. This devastating event led to the complete destruction of one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The news of such an impressive accomplishment spread far and wide, capturing the attention of people from different cultures and backgrounds. It caused a stir among the Greeks, Egyptians, and Persians, prompting scholars and artisans to travel across countries in pursuit of witnessing these remarkable individuals, and Altair graciously allowed them to do so. His intention was never to passively observe. Instead, he aimed to alter certain aspects of history to ensure that the name associated with war dogs would consistently emerge. When studying George Washington in history class, the mention of war dogs will always arise. Legendary figures from history, such as Miyamoto Musashi, Genghis Khan, Hannibal Barca, William Wallace, Attila the Hun, Boudica, Leonidas, Spartacus, Saladin, Richard the Lionheart, Sun Tzu, Liu Biyu, Joan of Arc, Julius Caesar, Ragnar Lodbrok, Bjorn Ironside, Ivar the Boneless, Eric the Red, Odysseus, Shahou Dun, Achilles, Alfred the Great, Sam Sharp, Nat Turner, Simo Häyhä, and many others, have left an indelible mark on the world. All linked to a single organization. As professionals in their respective fields encounter these individuals, they promptly document and illustrate their remarkable stories. Greek children at home engage in a game called Red Mausoleum, while the Persians feel fearful within the confines of their homes. Alexander made further progress into Lydia and Phrygia. Upon reaching Gordium, he encountered the famous Gordian knot, which was believed to hold a prophecy stating that whoever could unravel it would gain dominion over all of Asia. Mayat, the skilled warrior, effortlessly sliced it in half. Meanwhile, Memnon of Rhodes led Persian warships into the Aegean in an attempt to capture the Greek islands of Chios and Lesbos. However, he was met with unexpected resistance from a lone individual, Alexios, a formidable war dog. Alexios gained recognition for single-handedly defending 2 islands against Persian invaders and defeating the traitor Memnon. This event brought attention to the renowned group of warriors known as the War Dogs, leading to increased interest from historians and scholars. It had been 18 months since Alexander embarked on his conquest of Asia. Making his way through Cilicia and crossing the Nur Mountains into Syria, he encountered King Darius III and the main Persian army. Darius was resolute in his mission to corner and annihilate Alexander's forces, as he had a significant numerical advantage. To achieve this, he strategically positioned his army, blocking Alexander's sole path of retreat on the narrow coastal plain near Issus, spanning just 6 miles from the mountains to the sea. Due to the limited space on the battlefield, Alexander was compelled to engage in combat, while simultaneously preventing Darius from capitalizing on his significant numerical superiority. On that day, Persia witnessed the unexpected behavior of their esteemed god king. Alexander bravely led his companion cavalry into battle when he noticed his Macedonian phalanx being gradually pushed back. With unwavering courage, Alexander and his companion cavalry fought their way towards Darius. Instead of confronting this seemingly fearless and unpredictable Macedonian king, along with some of the renowned war dogs, Darius chose to flee the battlefield, overwhelmed by the close encounter with death. As the news spread of their kings fleeing from the battlefield, the Persians themselves quickly abandoned the fight in an attempt to save themselves. The defeat and flight of their king enraged the Persians, leading to widespread rioting throughout the Persian Empire. Meanwhile, Alexander continued his relentless conquest, defeating province after province and emerging victorious in battle after battle. Altair and his group gained further notoriety for their numerous assassinations of prominent figures across Persia, including renowned soldiers, generals, government officials, and even members of the Persian royal family. One of Altair's notable achievements was successfully infiltrating the capital of the Persian Empire and abducting the entire royal family, which included Darius's wife, mother, and 3 children. After successfully securing the western coast of the Persian Empire and neutralizing their naval power in the Mediterranean, Alexander proceeded to return to Egypt. During the journey, Altair, a prominent figure, eliminated another satrap, while his warband dealt with Darius's younger brother, who had attempted to reclaim Egypt from Alexander, using unconventional means. In Egypt, Alexander successfully founded his city of Alexandria. However, things were not all smooth sailing back at home, although they were quite close to it. Alexander received news that King Agis of Athens, with Persian support, had initiated a rebellion against the Macedonian king. Alexander dispatched Altair to address the issue, which he successfully resolved. Upon reaching Athens, Altair took the royal family of Athens captive and secured them to the statue of Athena. After Agis and his troops rescued Agis's wife, brothers, and mother, Altair incapacitated the group with a paralyzing agent. He then proceeded to strangle Agis's brothers, wife, and mother in front of him and his guards, before ultimately strangling King Agis himself. Altair swiftly made his escape to a ship and sailed back to Egypt. Once again, the world is shocked by the news surrounding Altair, evoking feelings of disgust and fear towards his actions. As a result, he is now known as the Kingslayer. Alexander, on the other hand, warmly welcomes his newfound friend and resumes his conquest in Asia. Year after year, Alexander continues to expand his conquests, gradually gaining control over more territories. Now, on the brink of a major victory, Alexander and his army find themselves outside the Persian capital. Instead of subjecting his soldiers to a lengthy and costly siege, Alexander opts for a different approach. He entrusts the task to the individual who has already proven himself capable of eliminating numerous royal and influential figures. Altair successfully completes his mission and forcefully escorts Darius out of the city, challenging anyone who dares to intervene. When they reach Alexander, Darius relinquishes his city and pleads for the return of his family. No, Alexander declines his request and instructs Altair to restrain him on the roof of his estate. Various accounts differ regarding the execution of Darius in the legends of the Darius execution. Some claim that Altair subjected him to a fiery demise, while others suggest that he was brutally skinned. There are even tales of an unidentified execution method, which more contemporary historians now associate with the blood eagle, a practice attributed to Vikings long after the eras of Alexander and Rome's glory days. Despite the varied accounts, there is a unanimous agreement that Darius's death was far from honorable. This event further contributed to Altair's legendary status. However, this was merely a chapter in his story. Altair's next remarkable achievement sent shockwaves throughout the known world of that era, leaving even present-day scientists perplexed. At the pinnacle of his career and at the conclusion of Alexander's conquest, Altair successfully carried out the assassination of Alexander. Greece, Egypt, Persia, India all extensively searched the known world in pursuit of the Kingslayer. Altair was last seen at the statue of Zeus, Temple of Artemis, and the Lighthouse of Alexandria, where he carved his name into the walls of 3 of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. After that, he disappeared and was never seen again. Jabari was last spotted in present-day New Delhi, India. Ahmed and Ammon were apprehended in Egypt by a group of Greek soldiers and were taken to the Macedonian capital for execution. Their fate was to be devoured by a pack of lions, but Ahmed and Ammon successfully defended themselves and defeated the lions. Unfortunately, they were ultimately killed by a volley of arrows. It is worth noting that they expressed their admiration for Naruto before their demise, finding solace in the recognition and honor he bestowed upon them. Mayat was captured in the city of Siwa in modern-day Libya. She experienced a brief period of enslavement before bravely leading a revolt, eliminating numerous slavers. She then guided her fellow escaped slaves further into Africa, where she ruled as a queen for the remainder of her life. Her legacy was later revived by her descendant, Mansa Musa. Naruto's point of view playing with Alexander over these past few years brought a sense of joy to my being. It was a much-needed break from my divine responsibilities. I should definitely consider taking another vacation in the future, although I'll likely skip the Roman era as it doesn't captivate my interest. Besides, having to interact with my body double doesn't sound particularly engaging. In addition, I've discovered that the Egyptian gods offer a captivating alternative to the Greek pantheon. It's quite fascinating to learn about lesser-known deities like the Egyptian god associated with fertility. It's these kinds of intriguing details that make the subject so captivating. I find it difficult to take Horus and Seth seriously. After Seth dismembered Osiris, he swiftly fled the scene, leaving behind the gruesome sight of Isis discovering her husband's dismembered body, including a particularly disturbing detail. Isis assembles the body parts, placing them within a sacred vessel, which leads to the conception of Horus. Isis tossed Osiris's phallus into the ocean, where it was consumed by a catfish. I consulted various sources and received conflicting explanations. According to some accounts, it was believed to be a crab, while others suggest that Isis used a unique method to conceive a child. Now Horus confronts Seth, and confidently asserts his royal lineage is the son of Osiris, and Seth wanted to showcase his professionalism, so he confidently struck a T-pose. He seduced Horus and engaged in sexual activity with him. As Seth reaches climax, he collects his semen, preserves it, and then disposes of it in the Nile, preventing any possibility of insemination. At this point, I find myself overwhelmed with confusion. For an entire week, I have been stuck in the same place, trying to make sense of this perplexing situation. Seth, believing he has successfully won over Horus, is now presented with a plate of lettuce. Little did he realize that Horus had strategically impregnated the lettuce to ensure his ascension to power by fathering Seth. If you are feeling perplexed about the connection between semen and this topic, let me explain. In the moral standards of Egyptian mythology, gaining control over someone by making them consume your own semen was considered a position of power. After this, Horus and Seth presented their arguments to the gods, each defending their own perspectives. Initially, the gods seemed to lean toward Seth, as he claimed to have already exerted his full power on Horus. They requested the semen to be summoned from within Horus, but unfortunately, it did not occur. Then Horus presented his perspective, and when the gods requested his assistance, it was revealed that his voice emanated from within Seth's stomach. Now here comes the exciting part, ladies and gentlemen, the moment when I made the decision to depart from Egypt sooner rather than later, despite the fact that they were intriguing individuals. The statement was made with great enthusiasm. As I approach the colossal pyramid and pass through the enchanted barriers, an awe-inspiring throne room comes into view. The walls are adorned with gold plating, while the floor and walls feature captivating artwork depicting famous stories of the gods. Looking upwards, one would notice the absence of a ceiling, allowing the sunshine in the beautiful sky to pour in. There are 3 sets of 5 steps that lead to the highest elevation in the room. The room was adorned with majestic thrones of the most revered deities. In the heart of it all, Ra shines brilliantly. Naruto, it seems that today is the day you bid us farewell. Yes, Lord Ra, today I bid farewell to this exquisite land. What about the friends you've made here, Thoth and Neith? Will you not feel their absence? Hather asks me while I am seated to his right. It appears that Ra's wife is feeling a bit down. I will make sure to visit if I can, even though they don't require my presence. I notice Ra smirking at my question, while Hather glares at the side of his head. Hey, have you already forgotten our agreement? Feel free to visit at your convenience. Always keep in mind, Neith, wherever you may go. He says with a touch of professionalism in his words at the end. I reflect on our friendship, remembering how she started off a bit reserved due to her admiration for me. However, over time, she grew more self-assured in my presence, even playfully teasing me during our training sessions. Looking back third-person point of view, what made me agree to this? Naruto exclaims, clearly frustrated. Excuse me. Feeling uneasy? What would the Greeks think if they witnessed your current state? Teasing the man who has her heart in a playful manner. With a smirk, Naruto replies, if I recall correctly, you seemed quite nervous around me for a good 5 years. What would people think of a war goddess who is infatuated like a young girl? Neith appears slightly displeased by my words initially, but swiftly moves past it, acknowledging the joke for what it truly is, a joke. Impressive, she has a great sense of humor, which is not very common among gods and goddesses. Sure, let's get to the spar you requested, Neith says, attempting to hide her embarrassment. I made a personal commitment to refrain from doing that again. Naruto performed a sword salute with a playful sense of seriousness. Neith returned it with a casual grin, not worrying about perfection. They maintained a vigilant stance, ready for any potential threats. Are you not utilizing your bow? Bravery? Or is it stupidity? Why would I bother using my bow if you're not even wielding your great sword? I wouldn't want you to come up with any justifications when I defeat you. With a confident smirk, Naruto swiftly launched his attack, effortlessly slashing at his opponent. Neith skillfully parried his attack, displaying a focused expression as she swiftly countered with a precise strike towards his cheek. With great skill and composure, Naruto took a step back, brandishing his sword to maintain a safe distance from his opponent. She skillfully deflected his blade and swiftly countered with a thrust. Naruto skillfully parried and attempted to counter thrust, resulting in a sudden face-to-face encounter. Both combatants were taken aback as their arms and swords remained raised, despite Naruto's lack of display. Naruto swiftly reacted, skillfully using his hands and sword grip to disarm Neith of her weapon. She released her grip and swiftly seized him by the shoulders, forcefully driving her knee upward. Naruto skillfully dodged at the last moment, managing to deflect the attack away from his thigh. It was unexpectedly mild. He firmly grasped her hands, swiftly twirled her around, and held her securely against his chest. She fought valiantly, but was unable to overcome the larger man in a grapple. Confident in her approach, she leaned against him and playfully moved her body, tilting her head back to catch his gaze and provide a captivating sight. With a confident smirk, Naruto leaned forward and playfully licked her forehead. She expressed excitement and moved vigorously. He released her hands, and she pivoted to meet his gaze, his arms still encircling her. With confidence, she reached up and attempted to caress his chin in her hands for a kiss, but they were swiftly pushed away, accompanied by a gentle reprimand, "Not so fast." Naruto confidently waves his finger with a mischievous grin on his face. What? Oh, why do you always tease me? It's really unkind. Neith begins to pout as she playfully stomps away. Take a moment to observe your level of frustration, which is precisely why I engage in this behavior. Go play with that mortal of yours, Alexander. Are you sure you're not in love? Tired of hearing the same comment about his relationship with another man, Naruto replies, here we go again. I've already explained countless times that it's all for the future reputation. What does that even mean? Why are you acting so peculiar? End of flashback. Naruto's perspective, those were some enjoyable moments. Rest assured, Lord Ra, Neith will remain in my thoughts no matter where I may travel, rest assured, there's no need to worry. Ra acknowledges with a nod. So Hather also seems to have some sort of infatuation with me, but Ra doesn't seem to care. I've gained extensive knowledge about Ra, and it appears that he lacks concern for numerous aspects of his life, including his spouse, children, siblings, and parents. He is solely focused on Egypt as a whole. No need to worry, there won't be any NTR. After consulting with some acquaintances and my close friend Thoth, I make my way to the location where Neith is expected to be. She is often located at the River Nile. Approaching Neith in a composed manner, I make my way towards her amidst the crowd of mortals. Today is a lovely day. I begin with a rather plain introduction, which may come across as uninteresting. However, I struggle with engaging in casual conversation. Just like any other, I suppose, she replies in a professional manner, just like me. Oh well, never mind, as I've repeatedly mentioned for the past few years, today marks the day of my departure for my travel journey. She gazes back, her expression filled with sorrow as tears well up in her eyes. Why must you go? Can't you stay with me, please? I can't help but shake my head, gently placing my hand on her shoulder to offer reassurance. I desire to travel, thus I exist. Rest assured, I will pay you a visit. Can you assure me of your visit? Yes, I assure you, now please release your grip. Neith embraces me tightly after her question, tears soaking into my clothing and armor. With a smile, she gently moves back. Whistle I call for my reliable partner, Ruin. Out of all the gods and goddesses I've encountered, Neith has come the closest to capturing my heart, at least for now. I received Ruin as a gift from Hades in appreciation for assisting him with the lay-up for Persephone. In addition to the enchantments on my sword, Ruin was bestowed upon me as a gift. And as always, she emerges from the ground with a dramatic burst of flames. Horse neighs, let's go, girl. I tell her as I confidently mount the saddle. She quickly accelerates, moving at an incredible speed in a single direction. To the girl in the far north, Naruto's perspective. An intense chill enveloped the unfamiliar landscape I found myself in. It is incredibly frigid, reaching temperatures that would make even a deity tremble. Surprisingly, there are those who have managed to endure such extreme conditions. I arrived in this land approximately 6 months ago to encounter a landscape dominated by snow and ice. After tirelessly exploring this vast expanse for half a year, my efforts have finally paid off with a remarkable discovery today. Harold, I hope you have some positive updates to share. A woman inquires of a man. With her long red hair, blue eyes, and shapely face, she possesses a striking beauty. However, it's hard not to notice the signs of stress etched into her skin. My love, I regret to inform you that I have no positive updates to share, a man responds with a heavy heart. A man with black hair that reaches his shoulders, brown eyes, and a strong physique. Maybe a warrior? Oh no, what are we going to do? What actions can be taken to address this situation? It is important to find a solution. I'm unable to do anything, dear. I am capable of doing it. Surprised by the unfamiliar voice, the mortals direct their attention towards the source of my words. After dismissing Ruin the moment I spotted this individual and trailed him to this location, I emerged from the darkness of the cave. Please stay behind me, Astrid. What is it that you desire? With the right guidance, you can break free from this lifestyle. Just scraping by to make ends meet. And why should we place our trust in you, a stranger? I refrained from causing harm and instead brought focus to my existence. Astrid, the woman, turns to the man beside her and asks, what else do we have to lose? A lot, very little. The individual responds, well, what would you like to inquire about? Third-person point of view, it all began at the end of summer, when the promise of a bountiful harvest was in the air. However, Mother Nature had other plans, as a sudden and harsh frost unexpectedly swept through, causing significant damage to the crops. The tree leaves swiftly took on the vibrant hues of autumn and fell well in advance of the anticipated timeframe. It was evident that a severe winter was on its way. Despite the challenges of our ruined crops, we made every effort to adequately prepare ourselves for the upcoming winter. However, despite our best efforts, we were unable to confront it. Back then, we were completely unaware of the challenges that lay ahead. However, now I am certain that survivors all over the country have a clear understanding of the situation and the daunting reality of our powerlessness against it. The man provides a detailed explanation of their current situation. And what challenges do you encounter? Naruto inquires with curiosity. Do they encounter any formidable adversaries, mythical creatures, or even deities of the cold season? We are currently facing a challenging situation known as Fimbulwinter, which has brought upon us the long winter. 3 winters are expected to occur consecutively without any intervening summers. We can determine that it is Fimbulwinter based on the fact that it has been slightly more than 6 moons since it started. The nights seem to be longer. Every night I worry that the sun won't come up. We must exercise caution when hunting for animals, as we risk becoming prey for Fenrir's offspring. I'm confident that at Asgard, the Aesir are well aware of the signs that indicate the impending conflict between the gods and the forces of evil, known as Ragnarok. We will all perish. The man concludes his narrative. Naruto contemplates his next course of action. I am familiar with Ragnarok, but I was unaware of the existence of a mythical winter preceding it. It's interesting how there is always something new to learn. Rest assured, mere mortals, in gratitude for relieving my ennui and piquing my curiosity, I shall safeguard you for the remaining 3 months. You refer to us as mortals. Are you some kind of deity? The woman asks nervously. Indeed, I am Naruto, the mighty god of war. After a span of 3 months. It had been slightly over 3 months since the harsh winter began, and its impact was clearly visible. The snow began to melt, revealing the breathtaking landscape. As the thaw continued, people emerged from their homes, coming together to form groups and work towards rebuilding their villages. How on earth did I not find any of these individuals for 6 months? During the winter farewell event, Naruto graciously allowed the couple to venture and discover the beautiful land of Norway. Discovering himself in a fishing village on the coast, the rebuilding of the village was repeatedly interrupted by the unexpected and frequent earthquakes shaking the land. The individuals in charge are diligently working to swiftly rebuild. A certain individual observes the abrupt darkness that has fallen upon the lands and gazes upwards in an attempt to catch a glimpse of the sun. Where is it? I can't see it. Let's focus and complete our tasks efficiently. Excuse me, please take a moment to observe the sky. It appears that the sun is not present. Oh, it seems to be nighttime. Time to get back to work. However, there is also no moon. Both individuals from the fishing village reach the same conclusion. Both point to the sky and exclaim simultaneously, Skull and Hattie have devoured the sun and moon. There is a sense of panic and desperation as their minds race, but they are not given enough time to descend into madness. This is because every person in every village along the coast of the entire country becomes aware of the turbulent and tumultuous sea. A few minutes later, a remarkable sound cuts through the noise, capturing the attention of everyone across the entire country. A massive tsunami is formed as an immense amount of water rises up and surges towards the coast. This wave can only be likened to the immense flood in the Noah's Ark tale. Naruto remains unfazed by the wave, his expression filled with awe as if he has just witnessed something truly magnificent. Impressively remarkable. Just when you thought the situation couldn't get any worse, another threat emerges on the horizon. The villagers now gaze in terror as they flee, witnessing the awe-inspiring presence of the mighty world serpent. Jormungandr, Skull and Hattie, stay tuned for more. And that's a wrap for now. Thank you so much for tuning into this incredible video. If you absolutely loved it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for even more amazing content coming your way.